the 6 o'clock news, I'm Kendall Brettig.
Don't miss 8 Audi bonus draws in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Deadline is midnight tonight.
Buckingham Palace has announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
And that's Britain's national broadcaster announcing news of the Queen's death. Britain's longest monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, has died at Balmoral Castle at the age of 96 following a 70-year-long reign. Members of the royal family gathered at the Scottish estate after concerns grew about her health overnight. The Queen came to the throne in 1952 at the age of 25 and witnessed enormous social change. Just 24 hours ago, she cancelled a virtual meeting of the Privy Council on the advice of her doctors. UK Prime Minister Liz Truss, who was only appointed by the Queen days ago, says the loss is a huge shock to the nation and the world.
Queen Elizabeth II was the rock on which modern Britain was built. Our country has grown and flourished under her reign. Britain is the great country it is today because of her.
And Lydia Starbuck, Associate Editor at Royal Central, says there's a large crowd gathering outside Buckingham Palace.
Tonight, a really moving tribute at Buckingham Palace. All of London's black taxi drivers have driven to Buckingham Palace to pay tribute to the Queen, and there's massive crowds gathering there now, even in the rain, just to be there. And people will be there for a long, long time because there's this sense of togetherness there, I think.
And after 70 years in waiting, Charles is now king. More from UK correspondent Curry-Ann Greenbank.
With the death of Queen Elizabeth II, Prince Charles is now King Charles III and has released a statement reading, "We mourn profoundly the passing of a cherished sovereign and a much-loved mother." The 73-year-old is now the oldest king to take the British throne, grieving the loss of his 96-year-old mother just over a year since the death of his father, Prince Philip. British Prime Minister Liz Truss, who was only appointed by the Queen at Balmoral 2 days ago, described the news of the Queen's death as a huge shock to the nation and the world, ending her speech with "God save the King." It's the first time in more than 70 years we've heard those words from a British Prime Minister.
And Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is currently speaking on the Queen's death, while Governor-General David Hurley has described her as a truly remarkable person, saying her death will sadden all Australians. SA's Governor Francis Adamson says it's a sad day for the whole of South Australia. Condolence books will be available for signing at Government House for the next 14 days. And Premier Peter Malinauskas has reiterated the state's sorrow.
Her 70 years will go down as one of the most considerable contributions, not just made to South Australia, but to the cause of humanity globally.
And world leaders are also paying tribute. Emmanuel Macron's remembering the Queen as a friend of France and a kind-hearted Queen. Justin Trudeau says Canadians will always remember and cherish Her Majesty's wisdom, compassion and warmth. And US President Joe Biden says in a world of constant change, she was a steadying presence. To other news now, a number of COVID rules have been relaxed. The isolation period for positive cases has been slashed nationwide from 7 to 5 days. Mask rules on domestic flights and incoming international flights have also been scrapped. But AMA President Professor Steve Robson says the government needs to watch case numbers closely.
We always ask that the government follow the health advice that they're given. They're unable to do that in this case, so if they're making such a major change, it's important that they watch closely the numbers of people affected in the community and take steps to deal with it if the numbers increase.
And a South Australian mother's won the entire $40 million Powerball. Her winning 50-game quick pick was bought online. Anna Hodman from The Lot says the Snowtown residents are over the moon.
She was honestly in shock. She was rendered speechless. There was a bit of colourful language here and there, but completely understandable after winning a multi-million-dollar prize this big.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a Gliderol roller door and operator by September 30 for some free upgrades. Search Gliderol for details.
And here's Tom Wren.
Thank you for that, Kendall. Now, English Premier League matches are set to be postponed this weekend following the passing of Queen Elizabeth. The Europa League match at Old Trafford between Manchester United and Real Sociedad is being played as we speak. Meantime, in golf, the DP World Tour has stopped play at the BMW PGA Championship once the news of Her Majesty's passing was confirmed. To local sport now, Melbourne forward Tom McDonald has been overlooked for tonight's semi-final clash against Brisbane at the MCG. The key forward has played just one VFL game after returning from a foot injury, the Demons deciding not to take the risk and opting for an unchanged lineup. Australia has rolled New Zealand for only 82 to clinch the second one-dayer in Cairns. The Aussies struggled with the bat until the tail-enders dug in to push the total to 195 from their 50 overs. Spinner Adam Zampa starred with the ball, taking 5 wickets as the home side won by 113 runs. Captain Aaron Finch says it was tough going for the batters.
It's been hard, hasn't it? The first 40 overs of our batting was incredibly difficult, and then the tail-enders showed us how to do it. So, but an amazing effort from Steve Smith to just keep hanging in there to get us to a total, and then Mitch Stark towards the back end for him to take it right to the end was fantastic.
And it's semi-final day at the US Open with Caroline Garcia set to take on Ons Jabeur, while world number 1 Iga Swiatek will take on Arina Sabalenka. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Peter Jackson Blinds and Awnings for stunning service and results. Adelaide Metro and Mount Barker. Search Peter Jackson Blinds.
Showers and 16 today, partly cloudy over the weekend, tops of 16, then a possible shower Monday, 15. At the moment, 13. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA, David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
That's the sound of the bells ringing out of Glenewick Church in the centre of the village called Ballata, closest to Balmoral, where the Queen has died, aged 96. A tremendously sad day in history, but a day that we're going to spend remembering the life of, I think, one of the most remarkable leaders in all of human history. If you'd like to be part of that conversation, whether you met the Queen or just have a thought to share, or just want to speak, you can go condolences. 8223 0000 is our number. You can text us on the Automasters text line. We thought things were taking a turn for the worst in the last 48 hours. Family and friends of the Queen congregated at Balmoral Castle. And then David, in the wee hours of the morning, got the very sad news that Queen Elizabeth II has passed away.
Yeah, well, I was about to go to bed quite late last night, about 11:30, and a friend of mine texted saying that there were rumours doing the rounds in media circles that she'd passed away. The Tiser front page today, Charles and William dashed to be by Her Majesty's side as concerned doctors make her comfortable, and then the big picture of her on Tuesday. She still looks very sprightly in that what is now pretty. Well, it is the last photograph from her last public engagement when she met the new British Prime Minister Liz Truss at Balmoral. But you're right, Will. I mean, I struggle to think of anyone who, well, firstly, in the modern era, no one's led for as long as the Queen did.
Second longest serving monarch of all time anywhere. 70 years.
In the whole history
in all of
the
history.
world.
Yeah, I think Louis XIV made it to 72 years.
But she did it with such dignity, such poise, and such intelligence. I actually think the Queen's intelligence was underrated by so many people who just regarded her as this genial, sort of nice person who'd go around cutting ribbons. But she was a phenomenally smart political person, an astute person, a great champion of freedom, but just such an incredible life. So sad for the people of England, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's tremendously sad. I've been watching all morning pictures of the crowds gathered outside of Buckingham Palace, and people don't know how to react, because whilst it's sad, she's 96, and it should be in part a celebration. So at times, the crowd out front of Buckingham Palace all start applauding randomly. And nobody knows why, who starts it, but it sort of happens. At one point, you know the little easel they bring out to make royal pronouncements, and in happier times recently, it said things like they've welcomed, Prince William's welcomed a son or some such. They brought the little easel out overnight that simply said, the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. It's that, everything about it is that really understated business sort of carries on. The monarch goes on sort of thing. People are yelling out, God save the King, and people are sort of cheering, while others are sombre. It is a strange moment in history, and it'd be very strange in the UK right now. Anne in Somerton Park's called in. Morning to you, Anne.
Morning, everybody. I just wanted to tell you just a quick thing. I remember quite well when King George VI died, because he died the same year as my dad. I was 10.
Oh, wow, Anne. So that was...
So,
what was the year again?
1952.
Of course, 1952.
Yeah. So
that would stay with you.
They will always. And sort of the Queen and Prince Philip were out of London at the time. They were away, and I think they were somewhere called Timbertop.
Right, Geelong.
In Victoria, yeah.
No, was it? No, it was... Well, yeah, anyway. But from then on, they had to wait till some mourning clothes were sent for the Queen, because she had to come out in black.
Of course, yeah.
And so from then on, I believe that they always travelled with mourning clothes.
And
yeah, right.
Thank you. That is a very personal connection. The year the Queen became the Queen, and what it meant for you and your family. We will take personal recollections right throughout the morning. 8223 is the number if you'd like to share. If you'd just like to share a memory that you like or a thought on the Queen, we were more than happy to take your call right through until 9 o'clock today. Let's head to the UK. Our London correspondent is Vincent McAviney. Vincent, such a sad day.
It is a day that seemed unimaginable for many people, because for 70 years the Queen has been a constant in the lives of a nation and the Commonwealth around the world, and it has taken, I think, everyone by surprise, even though we had seen in recent months her health declining, and we saw in the Tuesday photo with the appointment of her 15th Prime Minister, Liz Truss, that she looks somewhat frail. And if you've had an elderly relative, you know that towards the end of their life, particularly if they lose their life partner, that they suddenly can lose a lot of weight. And she did look, although she was smiling, she looked frail. And so there is quite a lot of shock here in the UK. I think because her mother had lived to 101, that people thought, because she had been so robust and in good health for much of her life, that she might last a few more years. But no, she has passed away now.
So what happens next, Vincent, in terms of Charles becoming king? Is he effectively king now?
Well, I can correct. Charles is the king. So I'll tell you how this works. So essentially, we saw in real time today the Prime Minister, Liz Truss, being informed that the Queen's doctors had put her under medical supervision, because she was in the House of Commons giving her first and major announcement on a special energy package. And a note was passed to her just after 12 o'clock. And we saw her react to it and then have it passed to the leaders of the opposition parties. So at around 12:30, then a statement came out telling us from Buckingham Palace, a very rare statement, because they don't tend to give any kind of commentary on the health. They consider it a private matter of members of the royal family. But we were told, and this was very much a warning for the nation, that following evaluation this morning, the Queen's doctors are concerned, and she was remaining under medical supervision at Balmoral. And then we saw, of course, the rush from members of the royal family, a plane with Princes William, Prince Andrew, Prince Edward, and Prince Edward's wife, Sophie, Countess of Wessex, heading up to Aberdeen to get to Balmoral as soon as possible. We knew that Prince Charles was already there because he was holidaying nearby. So we knew that the situation was grave, and that Prince Harry was on his way as well. And then at 6:30 this evening, a statement went out informing the British public, quite simply, and I'll read it now: the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. The moment that she died after 70 years on the throne, the reign of King Charles III, as it's been confirmed he'll be known, began. At age 73, it's a job that he has waited for, not particularly wanted to rush to, of course, given the circumstances of it, but that he has taken on now at the age that most people are entering retirement. And then a short while ago, there was a statement from His Majesty the King. It had been confirmed that despite the history of the name King Charles, there was a lot of speculation for many years whether he would actually take on a new name as king, but he has confirmed that he is King Charles III. He said in a statement, "The death of my beloved mother, Her Majesty the Queen, is a moment of the greatest sadness for me and all members of my family. We mourn profoundly the passing of a cherished sovereign and a much-loved mother. I know her loss will be deeply felt throughout the country, realms, and the Commonwealth, and by countless people around the world. During this period of mourning and change, my family and I will be comforted and sustained by our knowledge of the respect and deep affection in which the Queen was so widely held. In the past hour, I've been at a meeting at Downing Street in which we received a bit more detail. So we do know that the Prime Minister was told at 4:30 this afternoon that the Queen had passed. I think on the timeline, her children and Prince William that were on their way up, possibly not there in time, but Prince Charles was. After the Prime Minister made her statement just after 7 p.m. here, we understand that she spoke to King Charles III, and a meeting is taking place right now between the Prime Minister, Palace Chiefs, the heads of department, the heads of military, and the heads of police forces to go through plans for the next 10 days of official state mourning before a funeral, we believe, on the 19th will take place. So those are the details that we have at the moment. There is a slight complication. The plan for the Queen's death, known as Operation London Bridge, is actually now known as Operation Unicorn because she passed not here in London, but at Balmoral. If anyone doesn't know where that is in the northeast of Scotland, right at the top near Aberdeen. So that slightly changes the plan and the order of things. The Queen's body will be returned at some point to London in the next few days. But for now, all we know is that King Charles III will come to London tomorrow and embark on a tour of the four nations of the United Kingdom in the next few days to lead the nation in mourning.
Vincent, we really appreciate your time. We understand how busy you are over there at the moment, mate. So our thanks to you and on behalf of all our listeners too. Yeah, absolutely. Vincent McAviney, our UK correspondent. There's been the suspension of life in some ways over in the UK. There have been some sporting tournaments suspended. The TV schedule was stopped on the BBC and replaced with tributes to the Queen and whatnot. We're seeing here in Australia some evidence of similar things taking place now too. Parliament won't return federally. It's been suspended for at least the next 15 days. And here in South Australia, doubtless there'll be a response from Her Majesty's representative here in South Australia, the Governor, Frances Adamson. Your Excellency, good morning.
Good morning, David and Will.
An extremely sad day, obviously, Your Excellency. What does it mean in terms of your day today as the Queen's representative here in South Australia?
Well, I was woken in the early hours of this morning in accordance with the agreed plans and advised of the very sad news indeed. Obviously, the statement from the Palace yesterday had started to prepare people, I think, for what was expected. The flags, of course, at Government House are already flying at half-mast. We have at the ready condolence books, and Government House will be open for the next 14 days for any South Australians who wish to sign those condolence books in person. Will be open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. And, of course, the Department of Premier and Cabinet has made arrangements for condolence books to be signed electronically should people wish to do that. The Premier and I will shortly, in about 45 minutes, observe what is a uniquely South Australian tradition on the death of the Sovereign, and that is the hanging of what is called a hatchment on the gates of Government House. This has been done since the death of Queen Victoria, and it's a tradition that we continue to this day.
Your Excellency, based on the insights you've gotten from your time in the job as the monarch's representative here in South Australia, what would you impress on South Australians as the thing that they should remember of her reign and her life?
Look, I think in two words, it's exemplary service. I mean, of course, there are many more words that are being spoken about Queen Elizabeth II, and many of those, of course, speak to her warmth, to her dedication, to her. I mean, I will always remember having first seen it as a 16-year-old in St Peter's Cathedral during her Silver Jubilee visit to South Australia. Her smile, she had a really wonderful way of relating to and appearing so genuine to people she met the world over, particularly, of course, in the United Kingdom, but here in Australia. And there will be many South Australians this morning who wake up to the news and will have their own very personal memories of moments when they either spoke to the Queen or saw her or somehow interacted with her. And there will be, I'm sure, a sense of great sadness. But of course, it's not so long ago that we celebrated 70 years, the Platinum Jubilee, which gave us, of course, an opportunity to reflect on all the wonderful elements of that service, just as we now reflect on a life of service, literally to her last day.
Mm. Yeah, and the last photograph of her, you talk about her smile, Your Excellency, and it's captured today on the front page of our local paper here in town. I think, too, the fact that she lived for so long and served with such grace for so long, it feels like she's an international figure, but she also has the effect of being a local figure too. I mean, you think about her being here at the very start of the car industry in the suburb that we named after her as South Australians, and being here after bushfires and commenting about things like Ash Wednesday. Like, our story is part of her story too.
Of course, it's a lovely way of putting it, actually. And she so genuinely cared. We can see that time and time again. And we just...
Oh, I think we've just lost the governor. The line's just dropped out.
We have lost the governor,
which is a shame. But sediments were registered and they were well put and well said. We're going to take some calls after the break. If you'd like to have your say on the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, we'd love to hear your thoughts. 8223 0000 is the number. You can text us on the Automasters text line. Back in a moment.
Patience pays off, especially if you've been holding out for a great deal on a new Volkswagen. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen is now receiving truckloads of new Volkswagens. Yes, they're coming. And they're available at amazing prices. Remember Mawson Lakes Volkswagen for servicing too, with next day servicing and free loan cars. Get a great deal on Volkswagen now. Don't dilly-dally, dawdle or delay. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
We're for helping you combat the cost of living. So pick up The Advertiser for your exclusive September daily deals at Coles. Don't miss today's chance to save with Coles and The Advertiser.
Here at FIVEAA, we're all about supporting local. Shop like a locavore at Adelaide Showground Farmers Market pop-up at Orphanage Park. 2 Sundays only, 4th and 11th of September, during the Royal Adelaide Show.
You don't have to jump on a plane to find pals from around the world, or even leave the airport. Parafield Airport Liquor Store has thousands of pals in a huge old airport hangar. So maybe their pals are whiskies from Scotland, Ireland and Japan, but that's just some of their pals. With over 300 craft beers, 500 whiskies and over 2,000 wines. New pals from around the world are closer than you think. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Shop now at Harvey Norman Clearance Centre, Marion. Under one big roof, we have lounges, dining, outdoor, rugs, flooring, cooking, washers, fridges, televisions and much more. Run-out models, scratch and dent, refurbished stock and brand new lines in stock and ready to go. Harvey Norman Clearance Centre at Marion for furniture, bedding, flooring, rugs and electrical. Look for the red sign. Shop now at Harvey Norman Clearance Centre, 919 Marion Road, Marion.
This is the sound of the future of motoring. Quiet, isn't it? That's because the future is electric. For over 100 years, RAA has been there to keep you moving. And in the future, SA motorists can expect a comprehensive statewide charging network and a team of independent RAA-approved repairers that are EV ready. RAA, leading the electric vehicle charge in SA now and into the future. Learn more at raa.com.au. RAA-approved repairers are independent service providers, not agents of RAA.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA, David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes after 6, the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, has just spoken. He and the Governor-General will be off to the UK for the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. He will be joining us too on 5AA Breakfast sometime soon. We're chatting with the Prime Minister at the moment, but he will come on to talk about the Queen. But we're chatting with the Governor just before the break, before the phone line let us down, but the Governor's been kind enough to call back in. Your Excellency, I'm not sure quite where we're at in the midst of that conversation.
I think we were at a very important point that you made about the Queen both being globally known, probably the most recognisable figure globally, and also locally. And I was making the point that many South Australians waking up to the news would have memories, which many of them shared with me actually during our Platinum Jubilee celebrations only a couple of months ago. So I think you're right, global, local, and someone towards whom we felt a great deal of affection. And there's a very natural response today, which is of sorrow and of a sense that we will be, some of us, perhaps more deeply than others, but in a period of mourning.
This may be a silly question, but for anyone under the age of 70, they've never seen the monarch of Australia die. What's the appropriate way in which you pay your respects?
Well, look, I think the 21st century is rather different, perhaps, from the way this was done in the 20th century, 70 years ago. But I think it's a natural human response, and as I say, condolence books are at the ready for those who physically want to come to Government House. There will be opportunities to lay a floral tribute. I'll be laying a wreath with the Premier later this morning. Others might simply want to send a message. Social media, of course, is now very much a part of the way we express ourselves. And I suspect people will find all sorts of ways that feel right to them on this day.
We really appreciate you making yourself available,
absolutely.
Your Excellency, Governor Francis Adamson, and as the Queen's and now the King's representative, because you are now the King's representative here in South Australia.
I am indeed, and the Vice-Regal Standard continues to fly over Government House because as the Queen has died, so lives the King. Our flags are at half-mast, the Australian flag and the state flag, the Australian Aboriginal flag and the Torres Strait Islander flag, but there is, of course, continuity in the service of the Queen and now the King.
Absolutely. We extend our commiserations through you, Your Excellency, and we thank you for joining us this morning on 5AA.
Thank you very much, both of you.
A few texts coming through the Automasters text line. Jane with the Y says, I'm shattered. God bless my Queen. Wally the Walnut says, was in Scouts in 1977 for the Silver Jubilee. I was selected to be Guard of Honour at Government House. Still have the medal. I reckon there'd be a heap of South Australians that have had brushes with the Queen, a bit like that. Someone else here, Matt, has said, good morning on this sad day. I know all sport's been cancelled in the UK for 10 days. Do you think this weekend's AFL finals will be postponed or if it's appropriate for them to go ahead? Matt and Semaphore.
I don't think anyone would be saying that.
No, I think I would expect things will go along as normal. The institutions that the Queen has control over, like the Parliament, I think, rightfully are suspended. But the other things, I think, we're enough removed from that it's not disrespectful for them to continue.
No, I don't think so. Sharon says, in my life, the Queen has been constant to sad day indeed. In my primary school days in the mid-60s to early 70s, we would sing God Save Our Gracious Queen at Assembly. I'm so pleased for the Queen and her family that she did reign for 70 years. A remarkable lady. King Charles III on our coins. Rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth II. Thank you, Sharon.
28 minutes after 6, back with more of your thoughts on 8223 0000 next.
Learning online is great until you have a question. Learn it local at WEA. With a huge range of courses, WEA is a great way to learn new things and meet new people with teachers who can actually answer your questions. Visit wea-sa.com.au.
Do you still love your car? Why not take it to Edwardstown Mazda to see what it's really worth? It's the safest and easiest way to move your car on and get into a new or used Mazda. 862 South Road, Edwardstown.
The lake breeze, the aroma of barista-made coffee, the cosy lounge chairs. Mr. Neptune's Cafe is the perfect spot to kick back and watch the water ripple on by with a sweet treat or two if you're cheeky and a refreshing beverage. The fresh juices and the smoothies especially hit the spot in the warmer weather. And in winter, there's nothing like cozying up by the double-sided fireplace. Relax by the lake at Mr. Neptune's Cafe, 7 days a week at the Lakes Hotel West Lakes.
Hi, I'm Craig Kirkwood from Goldsborough Financial Services. I'm passionate about helping people understand how important life insurance is as part of a long-term financial planning strategy. I've helped many of our clients successfully claim against their policies to help protect their family or business. I can explain the different types of products available to you and the best way to structure your policies. See our website, then come and see us. We're here for your peace of mind. Goldsboro, for all your tomorrows. Goldsboro Financial Services, AFSL number 225330.
Dreaming of the Greek islands, Croatia, French Riviera, British Isles, Iceland or Norwegian coast? Explore Europe with the destination experts, FIVEAA Travel and Holland America Line. Now is the best time to book a 2023 cruise to the Mediterranean or Northern Europe during the Ultimate Upgrade event. Enjoy a complimentary stateroom upgrade, $99 per person reduced deposit and up to $300 onboard spending money. Hurry, offer ends 31st of October. Contact FIVEAA Travel today, pht.com.au.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers and 16 with the 6:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Don't miss 8 Audi bonus draws in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Deadline is midnight tonight.
The Prime Minister's offering Australia's deepest condolences to the royal family following the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Her Majesty died peacefully at Balmoral Castle overnight at the age of 96. Anthony Albanese says the world is mourning, but no more than those who loved her.
It is a day of profound sadness and grief for the royal family, who have lost a beloved mother, grandmother and great-grandmother. The person who for so long was their greatest inner strength.
And New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern says Her Majesty's last days captured who she was, working to the very end on behalf of the people she loved.
And that is why I'm sure that we will receive the news of her passing with both emotions of deep sadness, but also gratitude for a life that was utterly and completely devoted to the service of others.
And crowds of mourners are flocking to the gates of Windsor Castle and Buckingham Palace to pay their respects. As the Queen's death was announced, mourners broke into an impromptu rendition of God Save the King. This woman says the nation's in mourning.
It's so sad because she was a wonderful lady. She dedicated her whole life to the nation and we could just thank her for it. It's a very sad day.
And South Australia's Governor Francis Adamson says we'll recognise her in a uniquely South Australian way.
And that is the hanging of what is called a hatchment on the gates of Government House. This has been done since the death of Queen Victoria, and it's a tradition that we continue to this day.
Flags are also flying at half-mast and condolence books will be available for signing for the next 14 days. And world leaders are also paying tribute. Justin Trudeau says Canadians will always remember and cherish Her Majesty's wisdom, compassion and warmth. US President Joe Biden says in a world of constant change she was a steadying presence. And Emmanuel Macron is remembering the Queen as a friend of France. To other news, and changes to COVID isolation rules have officially come into force. More from Michaela Kamarik.
COVID-infected South Australians now only have to isolate for 5 days rather than 7. The changes to the isolation rules came into effect at midnight, a week after National Cabinet came to the agreement to maintain national consistency. There are some additional requirements. Anyone leaving isolation cannot visit or work at a high-risk setting like a hospital or aged care centre for another 2 days, or if they still have symptoms. Masks have also been scrapped on domestic and incoming overseas flights, and the daily release of COVID case numbers is a thing of the past. SA Health will now send out a weekly update. 654 new COVID infections were recorded in SA yesterday, and another 4 people died with the virus.
14 recommendations have been handed down to improve Australia's biosecurity system. The Exotic Animal Disease Preparedness Task Force has spent the past month assessing how the country could handle cases of foot and mouth and lumpy skin disease. It's found the system is strong overall, but any outbreak would still place considerable pressure on the system. And SA has a Powerball winner. A Snowtown mum has won the whole $40 million jackpot. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a Gliderol roller door by September 30 and you could get free upgrades. Search Gliderol for details.
Here's Tom Rand.
Thank you, Kendall. Well, further to the top stories, English Premier League matches are set to be postponed this weekend following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. At this stage, all sport scheduled for Friday in the UK has been called off. The Europa League match at Old Trafford between Manchester United and Real Sociedad was played, with the Spanish team winning 1-0. In golf, the DP World Tour has stopped play at the BMW PGA Championship once the news of Her Majesty's passing was confirmed. Play, however, does continue at the US Open this morning, and Ons Jabeur and Caroline Garcia will kick off the semi-final action. Then Iga Swiatek takes on Aryna Sabalenka. Craig Gabriel reports from Flushing Meadows.
Ons Jabeur, the Wimbledon finalist, has 43 wins this year, which is second only to Iga Swiatek's 55. If Jabeur reaches the final, she'll be the first African woman to do so at the US Open. But she'll be facing headwinds from Caroline Garcia, who's been on a roll since June. She started the year ranked in the 70s and is now top 10. Iga Swiatek will be favoured against Aryna Sabalenka. She leads their record at 3-1, most recently beating her in May.
And the AFL finals will resume tonight when Melbourne will take on Brisbane at the MCG. The Demons will go in unchanged, while the Lions have made 4 changes, welcoming back suspended pair Cam Rayner and Noah Answorth. The winner of that match will take on Geelong in next week's prelim final, while tomorrow night it will be Collingwood against Fremantle in the other semi-final. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Peter Jackson Blinds and Awnings for stunning service and results. Adelaide Metro and Mount Barker. Search Peter Jackson Blinds.
Showers and 16 today, partly cloudy over the weekend, tops of 16, then a possible shower Monday, 15. At the moment, 13. More news as it happens on 5AA.
With everything going on, it's tough to stay ahead. But you can always rely on a great Aussie shed to protect your tractor, boat or car, even turned into your very own bar. Somewhere to pile up your bales of hay or to escape with a block of clay. Whatever the plan for your Great Aussie Shed, act fast, because our Great Aussie Shed sale is here at last. Visit one of our 4 display centres today. Olympic Industries, built to last.
Learning online is great, until you have a question. The more we ask, the more we learn. So learn it local at WEA. A little local knowledge goes a long WEA. Find a course that piques your interest and meet like-minded people. Visit wea-sa.com.au.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA, David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes to 7. We've just been speaking with the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, and confirmed he'll be joining us at 7:05 this morning. He made a statement a short time ago with regard to the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. Here's a little bit of what he had to say.
The passing of Queen Elizabeth II, an historic reign and a long life devoted to duty, family, faith and service, has come to an end. This is a morning of sadness for the world, for the Commonwealth and all Australians. It is a day of profound sadness and grief for the royal family, who have lost a beloved mother, grandmother and great-grandmother, the person who for so long was their greatest inner strength. Australian hearts go out to the people of the United Kingdom who mourn today, knowing they will feel they have lost part of what makes their nation whole. It is a time of mourning for the people in Britain, across the Commonwealth, and indeed around the world. There is comfort to be found in Her Majesty's own words. Grief is the price we pay for love.
He'll be joining us live on the program after 7 o'clock this morning, Anthony Albanese, our Prime Minister. There's so many wonderful metrics that talk about the expanse of time and the influence that the Queen had over such a period and multiple generations. I like one I read this morning. 15 Prime Ministers she's been the Queen for, Liz Truss being the most recent, whose lifespans are over 100 years. Winston Churchill, her first Prime Minister, was born in 1874. Liz Truss was born in 1975. It's 101 years worth of Prime Ministers being born that she's been the monarch for.
My touchstone for it is a local one, and it's something we touched on with Her Excellency the Governor, Francis Adamson, just before 6:30. If you think about history in terms of industry, like you think about the Industrial Revolution, you think about the mills that developed in northern England, you think about coal mining and and the steam engine, all the things that happened. Queen Elizabeth was here in South Australia to witness the birth of the car industry, and she was still on the throne when it died.
It's a great reference point. And of course, we've got Elizabeth, named after her, 16th of November 1955.
It's amazing, isn't it? The local manufacturing of cars is of vast significance in our state. And she witnessed its birth, and she was still on the throne when...
She outlived it.
She outlived the South Australian car industry.
Matthew in Sellex Beach has called in. Morning, Matthew.
Gentlemen, how are we?
Good, mate.
Thanks, Matthew.
I was fortunate enough to meet the Queen in 2000, I roughly think it was. She did a visit through Sovereign Hill down there in Ballarat. Unfortunately, I happened to be eating lunch at the same time as she walked past and said hello to me, so it wasn't the time and place. But, there's not too many for me. Most of my early childhood, going to school in the preschools and stuff, going in the 80s, there's not, I don't think, many people that have been a part of my life, apart from family members, that have always been there, but have been there for a significant piece of it. Australia had a lot off the Queen, and she's always been there, and this will never happen again. So I'm wondering that while you're speaking to the Prime Minister, who's got the power to call a public holiday so we can all enjoy and watch the celebration of his life that's going to be telecast on TV.
Yeah, well, we certainly will ask the Prime Minister when he comes on after 7 what commemoration Australia does have in mind, Matt. It's a good point. So we'll get into the PM about that.
Maureen in Point Pass, good morning to you.
Good morning, friends. A sad day, a hole in my heart, but I thought you would like to hear some good things. I was 13 when Charles was born. We drove up to the city and stood outside Buckingham Palace waiting for the notice to see whether he was a boy or a girl. Princess Margaret came out and said, "I'm Charlie's aunt." And we all sang, "Charlie is my darling." and the water in Trafalgar Square was dyed blue in the fountains. And I was there when she was crowned. I was 16 when she was crowned. I worked in Fleet Street and her carriage drove past, the great golden carriage. And we were all on the balcony there. And I am a naturalised Australian, but as you realise, I'm a Pom as well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to cry in a minute, so I say goodbye now.
Oh,
good on you, Maureen.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts, Maureen.
They were lovely thoughts. And she's, the Queen of the UK, but Queen of 14 other countries as well. And I think everyone will be feeling a great deal of sadness today.
Well, you think about how many South Australians are like Maureen. I didn't even realise that Maureen had English heritage until she told us that. We've spoken to Maureen many a time, but all those memories of life as a young girl in London, so many South Australians hark back to, I mentioned Elizabeth before. I can remember doing a Vox Pop out there years ago, and every second person, they've got a faint little English accent.
It's interesting the degree to which we're getting a lot of texts in this vein this morning too. People, because she's been such a constant in a world for the last 70 years where there hasn't been a lot of constants, she becomes the yardstick and measuring stick or reference point for so many moments in people's lives. Glenda messaged us this saying, with a mum born in 1926, the same as the Queen, a dad born in 1922, the same as Duke Philip, and then married the same year, I feel a real connection. And it's a very sad day today. There's lots of people that say, like we had a caller a little bit earlier saying, my father died the same year as the Queen's father died. Like these monumental moments in people's lives match up with moments in the Queen's reign of 70 years in a way that it feels truly unique and quite rare. Another one said, rest in peace, Your Majesty, a comforting mother figure to many. She was always had an incredible ability in the darkest of times to sound so tough and comforting in the process. She is.
How important was she at the start of COVID?
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
I'm delighted I got to go to be in England for a Christmas to see her Christmas address live on TV once in my life. Now it was a comforting message about difficult times, and she had a way of speaking, but it was an authority that came with experience. She was fixing up ambulances in World War II when bombs were being dropped on London. She'd seen a lot of bad stuff and had a way of dealing with it.
She was a mother's daughter in that sense. I mean, the great Queen Mum line about not being able to look the East End in the face.
Yes.
She'd legged it out of London during the Blitz.
You know what I was thinking that's sad, and I reckon we've got a few listeners that would be right. Geez, they'd be amongst our oldest listeners if they're around. It kind of, in a sad way, feels like a cap on the greatest generation.
Oh, I was just thinking that, and I don't want to use this as an opportunity to pour scorn on Harry and Meghan, but if you had to sort of think about the Queen's life was marked by this constant service and self-sacrifice, whereas now I think we're seeing people who pick and choose what they do on the basis of whether they like it or not, as opposed to having a sense of duty. This is my lot. And there's that great British stoicism that I think is epitomised by the Queen, and certainly not by the likes of Harry and Meghan, where it's, rather than self-sacrifice, it's sort of self-absorption.
Well, that was the hallmark of that generation. So I was reading it this morning, depending on who you speak to, they're basically 1901 to the late 1920s, so she comes right in at the end of it. They're the people that were born into a world of the Great Depression, or their earliest years were in the Great Depression, and then they're adults for World War II. Now, not much can give you a sense of perspective in life, I think, than everyone being poor and then everyone being at war.
Yeah.
And that's by the time you're a young adult. And she just, when she spoke, she felt like she had the weight of all that experience. It resonated in the words. If you'd like to share a thought or a memory on the Queen today, we would love to hear. Our phone lines are open right through till 9 o'clock. We've tossed out the usual stuff. This is all about the Queen this morning. And it's all about you, folks, and your recollections, your stories. And look, if you just want to call in and say, she was wonderful, that's fine too. 8223 0000 is our number. You can text us too on the Automasters text line. We'll check traffic for the first time this morning now until your new BMW arrives. Adelaide BMW will help keep your current vehicle fueled. T's and C's apply.
In Direct, look out for a smash on Heaslip Road near Huxtable Road. Paradise, a smash on Darley Road at Gamo Road. Thorngate, urgent electrical works on Main North Road near Dutton Terrace. And Fullerton, intersection works continue on Cross Road at Fullerton Road. That's slow going with speeds down to 40. More works on Main Road near Armand Court in Coromandel Valley. Want the best sleep at the best price? Enjoy huge discount store-wide at the 40 Winks blackout sale. And Sunday, exclusions and T's and C's apply. 40 Winks, serious about sleep. That's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hi, Susanna Toop here. 17%. This is a number of properties we lease each month through our early release platform, saving landlords hundreds in advertising costs. Who are you trusting to look after your biggest investment? Toop.com.au.
Since 1982, our passionate teams at First National Real Estate have worked 10,400 days and around 582 million hours across Australia with one common goal: to always put you first. And we'll be here in Adelaide to help you on your journey to your happy place. Be it a tree change, a sea change, upsize, downsize, or finding that investment gem. First National Real Estate. We put you first. firstnational.com.au.
Introducing Nissan Future Value Business Plus, a new fleet finance solution for small to medium businesses offering competitive weekly repayments including the cost of scheduled servicing for the loan term. Available now on the Nissan Navara SL 4x4 Dual Cab Auto with more models to come. Plan confidently for the road ahead with Nissan Future Value Business Plus. Visit nissan.com.au/business plus or contact your local Nissan dealer. Approved ABN registered small to medium fleet applicants of Nissan Financial Services. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
We open our doors to people we trust and care about. And for over 85 years, South Australians have been opening their doors to Rest Haven. In turn, we've been opening doors to an easier, better life at home. From personal care to help with the shopping and social outings, you'll welcome the care that Rest Haven brings.
Business NBN can help give you the edge because it's made for businesses' evolving needs. You can choose from a range of high-speed plans and business-grade support, and it's all available from a range of providers. To find out more, search Business NBN, made for more. Your experience may vary depending on your provider, plan, busy periods, when you use the internet and other factors.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
A few moments ago, Buckingham Palace announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. The Palace has just issued this statement. It says the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and the Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. Within the past few minutes, Buckingham Palace has announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
That's how the news was broken on the BBC. They cut into regular programming overnight and then cancelled everything after that. Sport will be cancelled in the UK as well. That means English Premier League, Test cricket, golf. It's all been put on hold for now. Ben Jordan, our own historian here on 5AA Breakfast, makes an excellent point about Australian history and passing of monarchs in yesteryear. 1910, when Edward VII passed away. It's the only time monarchs passed away during the football season. All the football in the VFL was cancelled with that round. 1910, very different Australia to 2022, meaning no disrespect to the people involved, obviously, but we were very much more a subject of the British Empire at that point in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
9 minutes to 7, the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, coming up shortly. A very quick weather. Tom Bowick from the Weather Bureau. What's happening today and tomorrow?
Yeah, Dave and Will, look, so we've still got some showers around from the low pressure system, which is sort of to the south there. There's been some sort of falls of 10 to 25 millimetres actually over the metropolitan area since 9 a.m. yesterday, and up to 25 to 30 millimetres in the hills there. So, look, still some showers around today. They're probably going to be easing later, so a bit off and on. Weekend's looking pretty good. Just a slight chance of a shower there, around 16 degrees for both days, guys.
Good on you, Tom.
Thanks,
Thank you. Let's head to SAPOL. Senior Constable Matt Brown's on the line. A couple of assaults that police are investigating, Matt.
That's right. Of course, the first one occurred at Clemzig about 11 p.m. last night. Police were called to the Clemzig bus interchange after reports that a man had made his way to that location after being assaulted at a nearby address. Upon arrival, ambulance crews located an 18-year-old man from Adelaide with head and facial injuries. He was taken to the Royal Adelaide Hospital, where he remains in a serious but stable condition. Eastern District detectives attended the Clemzig interchange and the nearby address in Boucaut Avenue. I hope I've pronounced that right, Boucaut Avenue, and are currently investigating the incident. So the incident's not believed to be random, but anyone who may have witnessed it is asked to call Crime Stoppers on 1-800-333-000. The second incident occurred just before 4 a.m. at Felixstowe this morning. Police and ambulance crews were called to Briar Road after reports that a male had been hit by a car and then assaulted by an unknown person. Now, upon arrival, ambulance crews located a 40-year-old man with arm and leg injuries. He was taken to the Royal Adelaide Hospital, where he is also in a serious but stable condition, and we're also appealing for witnesses to that incident as well. So anyone who may have seen suspicious activity on Briar Road around 4 a.m. today, please call Crime Stoppers on 1-800-333-000.
Thank you, Matt. Senior Constable Matt Brown from SAPOL. We're paying tribute to the Queen all morning here on 5AA Breakfast, which means our phone lines are open for you, 8223 You can call through, and it doesn't need to be the most profound call of your life. If you just want to pay your respects, we're here for it. 8223 It's what we're doing right through the morning on 5AA Breakfast.
A few moments ago, Buckingham Palace announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. The Palace has just issued this statement. It says the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and the Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. Within the past few minutes, Buckingham Palace has announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Today is November the 20th, 1947. The time, 11 o'clock. A nation and a world watch. An heiress presumptive to the throne marries the man of her choice. As the 21-year-old princess arrived at Westminster Abbey, it was her moment too.
The last and grandest symbol of all is the crown of St. Edward. It is blessed by the Archbishop at the altar. The climax of the ceremony has arrived when the Archbishop gently sets this splendid emblem on the Queen's head.
As this day draws to its close,
I know that my abiding memory of it will be not only the solemnity and beauty of the ceremony, but the inspiration of your loyalty and affection. I thank you all from a full heart. God bless you all. To all who are here today, and to all your young brothers and sisters throughout South Australia, I send my good wishes for the future. I am sure that when you grow up, you will not forget what you have shown at Wayville today, that a great deal can be accomplished when everyone works together for a common purpose.
So, in the bicentennial year of the arrival of the First Fleet, and in the 75th anniversary year of the foundation of Canberra, there can surely be no more appropriate day for the opening of this magnificent new home for the Commonwealth Parliament. It is fitting, therefore, and a great pleasure for me, to offer my best wishes to all those who will be giving their service to the nation within these walls, and to declare open the new Parliament House of the Commonwealth of Australia.
However, I think that the main lesson that we've learned is that tolerance is the one essential ingredient of any happy marriage. It may not be quite so important when things are going well, but it is absolutely vital when things get difficult. And you can take it from me that the Queen has the quality of tolerance and abundance.
So what I say to you now, as your Queen and as a grandmother, I say from my heart. First, I want to pay tribute to Diana myself. She was an exceptional and gifted human being. In good times and bad, she never lost her capacity to smile and laugh, nor to inspire others with her warmth and kindness. I admired and respected her for her energy and commitment to others, and especially for her devotion to her two boys. Whatever may lie ahead, I declare again here tonight that my admiration, affection and regard for the people of Australia will remain as it has been over these past 50 years, constant, sure and true. I would like to remind you of the very successful games at Sydney in 1938, in Perth in 1962, and in Brisbane in 1982. Together, they underline the impressive contribution that Australia has made to the successful development of the Commonwealth. It now gives me the greatest pleasure to declare the 18th Commonwealth Games open.
Ever since we installed the statue, it has been the most popular place for people to take photographs, ma'am.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yes, I would think possibly it might be quite alarming to just suddenly see it out of the window. While we have faced challenges before, this one is different. We should take comfort that while we may have more still to endure, better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
Folks travel far and wide to meet Trev from Rollerco.
G'day, is Trev around? Oh, sorry mate, he's with a customer right now.
Trev's always eager to please. Just pat him on the belly and he'll do anything for you. Oh yes, Trev said you can order your sliding door or window parts online and he'll organise delivery to your door. Rollerco.com.au. They'll get you rolling. No, I'm not patting you on the belly. Oh, all right.
With everything going on, it's tough to stay ahead. But you can always rely on a great Aussie shed to protect your tractor, boat or car, even turned into your very own bar. Somewhere to pile up your bales of hay or to escape with a block of clay. Whatever the plan for your Great Aussie Shed, act fast, because our Great Aussie Shed sale is here at last. Visit one of our 4 display centres today. Olympic Industries, built to last.
We love deals at Bridgestone Select. That's why this month you'll get your 4th tyre free on Bridgestone Acopia fuel-saving car and SUV tyres. Conditions apply. For tyres and auto service you can count on, head for Bridgestone Select.
If you need to find your centre, you can always return to the rhythm of your breath. And find the centre of health and wellness at your local Go Vita. Go Vita Health Food Shops has 30 years experience behind their professional advice, backed by an extensive range of products and services. Find your centre at Go Vita. Colonnades, Fairview Green, Marion, Mount Barker, Manopara, Semaphore and Tanunda.
Hey, it's Callum here. Looking for something small, medium or large? Edwardstown Mazda have most models in stock, ready to drive away. You can feel confident in the team at Edwardstown Mazda.
It's gotta be
edwardstownmazda.com.au, LNVD 207428.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers and 16 with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Don't miss 8 Audi bonus draws in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Deadline is midnight tonight.
Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II has died. She was 96. Clinton Maynard looks back on her life.
Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor was never meant to be Queen. When she was born on April 21, 1926, she was born Princess Elizabeth of York. But it was her uncle Edward who was king, and when he suddenly abdicated, her father Albert became king, George VI, and Elizabeth's path in life was changed forever. She was only 25 when her father died in 1952, and since then has led Britain and the Commonwealth. Her coronation in 1953, the first to be shown on television. She later joked about the crown's weight.
And you can't look down to read the speech. You have to take the speech up. Because if you did, your neck would break. It would fall off.
Throughout her reign, she modernised the monarchy, but there were plenty of ups and downs. Divorces for 3 of her children, Anne, Andrew and Charles. 1992 was the low point.
It has turned out to be an annus horribilis.
She remained hugely popular during her years, but that was tested by the death of Diana in 1996, when the family was accused of being cold while the nation was in mourning. Elizabeth had a genuine affection for Australia and made 16 visits, her first in 1954.
Gliding through Sydney Heads, the sleek white liner Gothic brings Her Majesty the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh to the threshold of Australia.
Her last in 2011. In her latter years, she continued public duties, although slowing down a little following the death of her husband Philip after 73 years of marriage. Queen Elizabeth II, Britain and the Commonwealth's longest reigning monarch.
And the new King Charles III says the death of his beloved mother was a moment of great sadness for him and all the royal family. He says they mourn profoundly the passing of a cherished sovereign whose loss will be deeply felt throughout the country, the Commonwealth and by countless people around the world. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is among world leaders paying tribute to the Queen. He says Australia joins the rest of the Commonwealth in mourning.
In the coming days, the Governor-General and I will be heading to London, where we will meet the King. We will convey the sorrow of Australians, as well as our best wishes to him and the Queen Consort as he takes on his duties as sovereign.
Here in SA, a specially commissioned memorial coat of arms known as a hatchment will be hung on the front gates of Government House. The hanging of the hatchment to mark the death of a sovereign has been observed in South Australia since the death of Queen Victoria in 1901. Premier Peter Malinauskas says the Queen's death will also be recognised in other ways.
Flags will be flying at half-mast today. There will be condolence books and there will be a range of ceremonies, many of which all of South Australians will be invited to.
Now turning to other news, and police are investigating an assault at Clemzig last night. An 18-year-old man was found at the Clemzig interchange with head and facial injuries. He'd been attacked at a nearby address earlier in the night. He's in the RAH in a serious but stable condition. Police say it's not a random incident. And then just before 4, police and ambulance crews were called to Briar Road at Felixstowe after a man was hit by a car and then assaulted by an unknown person. The 40-year-old suffered arm and leg injuries. He's in the RAH in a serious but stable condition. Changes to COVID isolation rules are now in force. Anyone who tests positive now only has to isolate for 5 days instead of 7, and face masks are no longer mandatory on domestic flights and incoming international flights. The daily release of COVID case numbers, also a thing of the past. SA Health will now send out a weekly update. But Professor Adrian Esterman from the University of SA says it sends a message the threat of COVID's over.
The trouble is that it's not all over. It's much better than it was, and actually case numbers and hospitalisations have fallen much further than I was expecting. But nonetheless, we could get a new subvariant tomorrow. We could get a new variant the next day. So it's not over yet, and I cannot understand why they're doing this.
The federal government's very pleased with the findings of a report into Australia's biosecurity system. Over the past month, a task force has been assessing the country's preparedness to deal with an outbreak of conditions like foot and mouth and lumpy skin. It's handed down 14 recommendations to strengthen the system. Agriculture Minister Murray Watts says they're all very sensible.
It gives me great confidence that our systems are strong and that overall we are ready for any outbreak if one happens. Of course, there are some areas that we can probably tighten things up, and that's what we'll now do. But overall, this report, I think, shows that we are well prepared as a country.
And a Snowtown mum who joked about winning Powerball has done just that, picking up the whole $40 million. She's the first Powerball Division 1 winner in South Australia this year. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a Gliderol roller door by September 30 and you could get free upgrades. Search Gliderol for details.
Here's Tom Ring.
Thank you, Kendall. English Premier League matches are set to be postponed this weekend following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. At this stage, all sport scheduled for Friday in the UK has been called off. The BMW PGA Championship, which is being played in England, was late in the first round when play was suspended after news of Her Majesty's death was made official. It's unsure if the event will be cancelled totally. Well, Australia has recorded a dominant 113-run win over New Zealand in their second one-dayer in Cairns. The Aussies were restricted to 195 from their 50 overs. The home side, though, then dominated with the ball, dismissing the tourists for only 82. Spinner Adam Zampa took 5 wickets, and skipper Aaron Finch says his bowlers were on fire.
From ball one, I think that Mitchell set the tone in the first over. Josh Hazlewood backed that up, and Sean Abbott, that was extraordinary. I've never seen anything like that. Just so much discipline, and once we started to build a bit of pressure, we felt as though it was going to get harder to score as the game went on. So, yeah, it was a great win.
And Melbourne will take on Brisbane tonight in the first semi-final, with the Demons favourites to progress to the preliminary final next weekend. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
First National Real Estate. Their team of real estate experts will put you first.
Indirect, look out for a smash on Heaslip Road near Huxtable Road. Paradise, a smash on Darley Road at Gammo Road. Thorngate, urgent electrical works on Main North Road near Dutton Terrace. And Cavan, asphalt works on Port Wakefield Road near Montague Road. In Fullerton, intersection works continue on Cross Road at Fullerton Road. That's slow going with speeds down to 40. The Advertiser is for helping you combat the cost of living. So pick up your copy of the Advertiser today for your exclusive September daily deals at Coles. That's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Peter Jackson Blinds and Awnings for stunning service and results. Adelaide Metro and Mount Barker. Search Peter Jackson Blinds.
Showers and 16 today, partly cloudy over the weekend, tops of 16, then a possible shower Monday, 15. At the moment, 13. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 after 7, just extraordinary watching images of people continuing to congregate out front of Buckingham Palace. One of those moments in history where it feels as though people need to be somewhere and need to be talking about it, but not necessarily sure about what the right way to do it, because it's a celebration as much as it is a sad day, the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. We have, in the first hour of the program, spoken with her representative here in South Australia, Governor Francis Adamson. We've crossed to London. We'll continue to do that over the course of the morning. But I think the nicest contributions we've got and will continue to get are those from listeners. Lovely texts coming through on the Automasters text line, and a number of calls, people wanting to share stories or just say how much they've admired the Queen and admired her reign. We'll get to some more of those shortly. But first, the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, joins us on 5AA Breakfast. Prime Minister, good morning to you.
Good morning. What is a very sad day, but
you're right as well to say that it's an opportunity to reflect and to celebrate what is an extraordinary life.
It certainly was an extraordinary life, Prime Minister. And, a huge sense of sorrow today, but equally, I mean, it's hard to capture the magnitude of her rule, isn't it? To think about seven decades, how much has happened, how much the world has changed since then, but also the stability that Her Majesty brought to the Commonwealth.
That's right. She was a constant in our lives. She is the only monarch and head of state that you and Will and I have known. And that is remarkable, given that we're living in an era with the fastest change in human history, and that constant devotion that the Queen exhibited to her duty to serve the Commonwealth and her nation, her duty to family as well, and her faith was quite remarkable. It was a constant in an era of change.
Few people get to be known as leaders, and fewer still are great leaders. What, from now in your perspective as the leader of Australia, do you see as what made her such a wonderful leader of the Commonwealth?
I think the fact that she could meet with world leaders, and of course she was an advisor to every British Prime Minister since Winston Churchill. She served 16 Prime Ministers in Australia, 16 Governors-General have been in place during her reign. But she was also really comfortable with mixing with the general public. She was there when we needed her to be there at times of crisis, but also there at times of celebration. She was, of course, a regular visitor to Australia. She first came in 1954, and I think it was about 8 months after she became the Queen. And it's quite extraordinary, the figures, which show that in a population of 10 million at that time, 7 million Australians went out, didn't look at it on Facebook or social media. They physically went to see her, and that great saying, of course, we just saw her passing by. It just says something about the affection that she had from Australians at a time when she was, of course, the first monarch and the only monarch to have visited Australia.
So, PM, we know that flags are being lowered to half-mast. We spoke to our governor before, Francis Adamson, just down the road here at Government House, about how the gates will be open there today so that people can pay their respects. At the sort of federal level, what type of commemorations are in line now that the Queen is no longer with us?
Yeah, the protocols are all being put in place. Of course, there's been considerable planning for this to occur, and we'll be making those announcements over the next 48 hours. But a condolence book is available at Yarralumla Government House from 8 a.m. this morning, Canberra time. There are, of course, a range of other protocols, including gun salutes will occur over the next 24 hours, and we'll continue to make arrangements for what is a 10-day period of mourning. The Governor-General and myself will travel to the United Kingdom for the commemorations and for the services that will take place representing Australia. And there are other protocols have been discussed and are yet to be confirmed about other Australian citizens being invited to those commemorations, but those announcements will be made over the next 48 hours.
Could we just some more clarity, Prime Minister, on what will happen with Parliament in Australia? I understand it will be suspended and not returned before 15 days. Is that it will be just over a fortnight before it returns, or is that not determined yet either?
We'll make those announcements, but there is protocols in place for the suspension of Parliament, and certainly that will occur. Our Parliament was due to sit next week, and then there was a break up until the budget sittings in October. So certainly the Parliament won't be sitting next week, and we'll have discussions about perhaps the options that we have of returning for a commemoration of Her Majesty and her contribution to Australia and the Commonwealth.
Well, Prime Minister, we thank you for making time to speak to us here in Adelaide on 5AA on what is a sad day, but as you rightly said at the start, also one where, with an air of happiness and pride, we should reflect on a life well lived and a life devoted to public duty.
That's right. I finish and leave with you the words of Her Majesty reflecting on her tragic loss, which was grief is the price we pay for love. And I think that is really worthy words of Her Majesty.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well worth remembering at this moment. Prime Minister, thank you so much for your time this morning. That's the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese. I understand the Torrens footbridge was lit up in colours reflecting the Union Jack and the British flag overnight. Obviously, this broke late, so not many people have got to see that. I hope they do it again tonight. I imagine they'll do it over the weekend as well, but tributes here in Adelaide as well. Stephanie's called in. Good morning to you, Stephanie.
Morning, boys. How are you this morning?
Good, thanks, Stephanie.
Yeah, a little bit of a sad day. I've got a story that I can relate if I can hold it all together, but my sister was left in Ukraine in 1942 when my parents ran away to Germany. And through Queen Elizabeth in 1958, we managed to get, with the help of the British Embassy in Moscow, we managed to almost get her out here. It took a lot of work. I actually got the letter in front of me that I've been to the National Archives and retrieved everything.
Wow.
This is just a bit of it that says, the department is in receipt of a letter written by your daughter Irene with her headmistress, Mrs. Williams, forwarded to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Anyway, I remember the letter coming from the Queen. Small letter with the insignia on the top in red saying that they'd managed to, with the help of the British Embassy, they'd managed to get Stephanie out here. She was 18. Poor old Stephanie took it into the nearest town where she lived. Don't forget it was under Russian rule at the time. The chap just tore it in pieces and put it in the bin and said, go back to the village.
Oh, dear.
And now she's 84 and she's going through it all again.
Oh, crikey.
That's awful.
It is awful, but, I'll never forget the Queen for doing that because the Australian Embassy just wasn't getting anywhere with that.
Yeah.
Whereas, they managed to help us out a lot, and I'll be forever grateful that at least they put their mind to it and did try.
Stephanie,
absolutely.
Thank you for that call. Thank you for that that story and that recollection. We're getting so many lovely calls, a lot of lovely texts as well. Rita in Campbelltown says, this is a sad day, but a day to celebrate the life of an extraordinary woman. Listening to your program is helping with my emotions about the Queen's passing. Thanks, guys. Jared says, I'd call if not for laryngitis, but the quick story, my mum became pen pals with the Queen. She saw an address to send a Christmas card to the Queen in a Bill King column and decided to write to her. She received an official letter back a few weeks later and several other letters back and forth. I now have 3 official letters from Her Majesty the Queen addressed to my dear old mum who sadly passed away in 2004. Rest in peace.
Another one here from Jane with a Y. Gosh, guys, I've just woken up. I've got tears in my eyes and feel very sad. Such an amazing woman. And to think, and I couldn't agree with this more, Jane, to think 2 days ago she was still doing her duty. Very sad. She's been such a constant in our lives. Well said, Jane.
19 minutes after 7, let's check traffic. We'll get to some more of your calls in a moment on 8223 0000. In fact, I think we'll intend to cross back to London very shortly as well. Until your new BMW arrives, Adelaide BMW will help keep your current vehicle fueled. T's and C's apply.
In Direct, look out for a smash on Heaslip Road near Huxtable Road. Paradise, a smash on Darley Road at Gamo Road. Thorngate, urgent electrical works on Main North Road near Dutton Terrace. And Cavan asphalt works on Port Wakefield Road near Montague Road. That's affecting both directions. Fullerton intersection works continue on Cross Road at Fullerton Road. The King Art of Living sale ends Sunday. Save on selected Australian designed award-winning furniture. Sale ends Sunday. Visit the King Keswick showroom today. That's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Have you?
Well, David, we've been cruising around in the electric car thanks to the RAA and learning about this brand new technology.
It's been a lot of fun, and now we're going to catch up with Mark Borlace from the RAA to hear about all of the benefits and savings from driving an electric vehicle.
So often we've had you on the program to say, what the hell are going on with petrol prices, because everyone's getting ripped off.
Yeah.
It's nice to have this car behind us and know if you own it, that's not something you're ever going to have to worry about ever again.
Yeah, you can kind of vaccinate yourself from petrol bills and charge at home. 90% of people will plug these things home and charge overnight. But these are sort of the affordable end of the market. And as you say, it's got a 450k range. It's starting to feel and look and do what a normal car does. And that's when people start to love them.
Staria Load from $47,990 drive away for ABN holders. T's and C's apply. Visit Hyundai.com.au. Imagine that. Hyundai.
Gliderol has manufactured and installed garage doors in SA since 1974, and their commitment to quality is as strong as ever. So if it's time for a new look for your house or time to upgrade, why not now? Order a new roller door, sectional door or customer designer door with operator by September 30th and you'll receive a free premium operator upgrade and 2 bonus handsets. For a free measure and quote and helpful advice, search Gliderol today. Retail customers only, T's and C's apply.
20 years ago, Toyota set the standard for hybrid vehicles with the iconic Prius. Today, they're still leading the way with their Toyota hybrid technology for a cleaner, greener future for all Australians. Jarvis Toyota is Adelaide's home of hybrid. They can get you behind the wheel of your own small, medium or large sedan or SUV with best-in-class fuel economy. Work towards a better future together with Jarvis Toyota. South Road, Clovelly Park, Adelaide's home of hybrid.
For the best advice and price on tyres and mechanical, see City Discount Tyres. With local deals on the world's biggest and best brands in tyres, wheels, suspension and parts for four-wheel drive, SUVs and passenger cars. Finance available. Find your nearest dealer at citydiscounttyres.com.au. We're driven by value.
City Discount Tyres. There's no blueprints to your new custom-built Beechwood home. Well, not yet anyway. But together with Beechwood, it won't take long to turn your ideas into sketches, then drawings, and finally a home you can live a beautiful life in. That's the really exciting thing about building with Beechwood Homes. They'll build the home you want. So collect your thoughts, your ideas, your Pinterest boards, whatever, and let's talk. Because life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA, David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 after 7, I've said repeatedly over the course of the morning that the scenes outside Buckingham Palace are quite mesmerising. They occasionally collapse, occasionally people break into chants for Queen Elizabeth, but sometimes it's God Save the King as well. We wanted to cross live to the scene. It's where we find Ruth Wynne Williams for Channel 9 out front Buckingham Palace as we speak. Ruth, good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning.
So what are the scenes like there outside Buckingham Palace at the moment, Ruth?
Look, it's been quite extraordinary all day. People started sort of turning up here late afternoon as the news of the Queen's condition sort of started to trickle in, that things weren't looking that good. Right now, we've had some heavy rain, so it's dissipated somewhat, but there are still thousands of people coming down, laying flowers, taking a moment, looking towards the palace and paying their respects to the woman that's been, in their lives for so many years. There is sort of a sense of disbelief here, even though people did know that the end was coming, it was imminent. But tonight, people are in disbelief. I wouldn't say it's shock, but people are sort of in a sense of disbelief and sadness about, the Queen's passing.
I'm struggling to get a handle on what the mood is immediately outside the gates of Buckingham Palace. Is it sombre, or is it at times celebratory?
At times we're hearing people yell 3 cheers for Her Majesty, and that kind of rolls around, and the crowd sort of breaks into a spontaneous applause. We're hearing that sort of roll around every kind of 20 minutes to half an hour or so. But we are seeing sadness as well. I walked past a couple, they look sort of in their early 20s, they're holding each other and crying, and then you see, people sort of later in life, older couples, standing in, incredibly sad looking at the palace. And I think, whatever you might think of the monarchy and whatever we in Australia think about, having the Queen as the figurehead, people here love her and they've known her for such a long period of time that, there's a lot of sadness in London tonight. Certainly, if you just walk a few blocks away from the palace tonight, the pubs are full. People have turned up to pour a sip for the late monarch tonight, and there's a lot of sort of sitting back and remembering and thinking about her tonight, and a lot of sadness hanging over London.
Ruth, thank you for that. Really appreciate you setting the scene for us there. Ruth Wynne-Williams for Channel 9 at Buckingham Palace. Ruth said something that I think might be in some ways the hardest achievement for any monarch, or potential monarch or prior monarch to achieve in Australia, and that is the Queen won over everyone who said, how many times do you hear people say, not really one for the whole monarchy thing, but geez, I like the Queen?
Yeah.
That's got to be the greatest tribute you can pay to someone. That if not for her, there'd be question marks about the institution.
Oh, and look, I got to say, I reckon a gold medal for any half-wit from the Australian Republican movement who wants to come out and use today to try to whip up any discussion at all about constitutional change.
I'd
Surely
recommend
they're not stupid enough to go down that path.
Don't go on social media. There's a lot of look-at-me stuff going on in some of the, highfalutin editorials around the world, including, a shameful shout-out for the New York Times this morning, which was it's an embarrassment, frankly.
Well, just no sense of decorum, no sense of timing or respect.
None whatsoever. And a lot of look-at-me stuff going on.
Yeah, 100%.
Betty in Modbury, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I was just wondering whether there are going to be condolence books at the Government House for the Queen, because I think it'd be appropriate for us to maybe send something in writing to the family, at this time. I really sympathised and empathised with them.
There are, Betty.
Yep.
We spoke earlier, just over an hour ago, to Her Excellency the Governor Frances Adamson, and she said that there will be condolence books at Government House. So we'll play some more of the interview that we did with Her Excellency later in the program. But yes, for people like you, Betty, and there'll be a lot of you who do want to, in your case, jump on the bus in from Modbury and come down to North Terrace and do that, you should be able to do so.
Kathy in Christie's Beach, good morning.
Good morning, boys. It's a sad day today, September the 9th. When she was young, she was in the war. She was in the Land Army. And I remember one day when after she was Queen, she was travelling, and I think the car broke down, and they said, we'll get somebody to come and fix it, Your Majesty. And she said, don't bother. She said, I can do that myself. And then I don't know if you tennis people, but the British tennis player, Virginia Wade, she had long hair, and I kept telling her, talking to the TV, of course, get your hair cut. And then Jubilee year, when Wimbledon opened, there she got her hair cut. And did you know she won that year?
Well, there you go. There's something in that. Kathy, thank you.
Excellent memory.
8223 0000. There's some lovely stories about the Queen that are coming out and are re-emerging as well. One of the funniest we're going to play after 7:30. It's a spectacular story. And we'll continue to make time for your recollections, your memories, your brushes with the Queen, or even, hey, if you want to call us and for 3 seconds say thank you to Her Majesty, you're more than welcome to do that as well. 8223 0000, our number.
At Steinborner, it's always been well worth the trip. Now we're evolving to include Steinborner Electric, where it's well worth the trip to the future.
With Hyundai, Kona Extended Range, Ioniq Electric and Ioniq 5. Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross Plug-in Hybrid, all new Outlander Plug-in Hybrid, Ford Escape PHEV and e-Transit. And now the new Benzina Zero Electric scooters and mopeds. Thinking electric vehicles? There's only one place to go. Steinborner Electric. It's well worth the trip to the future.
G'day, it's Baz from FIVEAA Milk Company. Just wanted to make sure you knew that our milk only comes from SA dairy farmers. So make sure the milk you buy is only from SA dairy farms. Because you see, no matter how tough it gets out there, our dairy farmers always put you first. So let's support them. Look for FIVEAA Milk Company products in your supermarket. 3 words make all the difference. FIVEAA Milk Company. South Australian first and proud of it.
Doesn't matter what level you're at, Drummond Golf can improve your game. I've got Shane from Drummond Golf with me. Now, Shane, help us out here. What's the quickest way to improve our game?
Thanks, Rowie. I know this might sound a bit strange, but how often do you get your car serviced?
Oh, once every 6 months.
So why not get your game regularly serviced with either a lesson at the range or utilise one of our ultimate training aids? The 2 best training aids we have is the Orange Whip Tempo Trainer and the Swing Guide. The Swing Guide is by far the best training tool that attaches to your golf club and keeps you on plane.
And of course, the expert advice to help you get the most out of your game.
That's why we're here, Rowie.
So see Shane and the team at Drummond Golf, absolute legends at Enfield, Darlington, Mile End, Tea Tree Gully and West Beach Driving Range.
This is Adelaide's FIVEAA.
Showers and 16 with the 7:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Don't miss 8 Audi bonus draws in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Deadline is midnight tonight.
The UK's longest-serving monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, has died. Her Majesty passed away peacefully at her Scottish estate Balmoral, where she'd spent much of the summer. Her son Charles, who's now known as King Charles III, says his family's mourning the passing of a cherished sovereign and a much-loved mother. UK Prime Minister Liz Truss says the Queen was the rock on which modern Britain was built.
Through thick and thin, Queen Elizabeth II provided us with the stability and the strength that we needed. She was the very spirit of Great Britain, and that spirit will endure.
And rain in London is doing little to keep growing crowds from gathering outside the Buckingham Palace gates, where the royal notice of Her Majesty's death has been posted. People are also laying flowers outside Windsor Castle. And people across Australia are expressing their shock as they wake up to the news of her death.
It's been expected for a long time, but here we are. And now we have King Charles III.
Little bit sad. Sad. We love her. She was so beautiful.
Sure, a very sad day. I woke up this morning for the first time in Australia. I've only been here one day and switched the news on, and my daughter had sent a message saying the Queen has passed away. So it affects us all.
Australia's Governor-General David Hurley has released a short statement passing on the condolences of the nation.
As we mourn, we should also take inspiration and give thanks to the remarkable contribution Her Majesty has made. May she rest in peace. God save the King.
The Prime Minister and Governor-General will soon travel to London to honour the life and death of the Queen. Anthony Albanese says Australian hearts go out to the people of the UK.
From the moment the young princess became Queen, Her Majesty's dedication to duty and service over self were the hallmarks of her reign. Performing her duty with fidelity, integrity and respect for everyone she met.
And condolence books are being opened at Parliament House and Government House in Canberra as the nation enters a period of official mourning. Flags across Australia will also be flown at half-mast for the next few weeks, and federal parliament's been suspended for 15 days. Here in SA, a hatchment has been hung on the gates of Government House to mark the death of the sovereign, a tradition observed here since 1901. And Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says he's struggling to come to terms with the fact he'll never have the chance to meet with the Queen again. He says her steady grace and resolve brought comfort and strength to his country.
Canada is in mourning. She was one of my favourite people in the world, and I will miss her so.
US President Joe Biden says in a world of constant change, the Queen was a steadying presence. And Emmanuel Macron is remembering her as a friend of France and a kind-hearted Queen. Turning to other news now, and police are investigating 2 assaults overnight. The first happened at Clemzig. An 18-year-old man was found at the Clemzig interchange with head and facial injuries after being assaulted at a house nearby. He's in the RAH in a serious but stable condition. Police say it's not believed to be a random incident. And then at Felixstowe, a man was hit by a car and then assaulted in Briar Road. The 40-year-old suffered arm and leg injuries. He's also in the RAH in a serious but stable condition. The AMA is reiterating its concerns as COVID isolation rules ease. Asymptomatic people now only need to spend 5 days in isolation instead of 7, but AMA President Professor Steve Robson says it may cause a rise in case numbers.
The AMA is concerned because, of course, a number of people who come out of isolation early will still be infectious and could spread COVID to workplaces or around the community in general, so it needs watching very closely.
The mask mandate's also been scrapped for domestic and incoming overseas flights. And Channel 7's considering the position of AFL commentator Wayne Carey beyond this season. The boss of Crown Resorts has disputed the former AFL great's claim he offered a bag of white powder to security after dropping it at the Perth Casino last week. Breaking his silence at the Wagga Wagga RSL last night, Carey demanded a thorough police investigation and says he didn't know why staff didn't call police at the time. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a Glider-Roll roller door by September 30 and you could get free upgrades. Search Glider-Roll for details.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Football fans have paid tribute to the late Queen. West Ham was playing a Europa Conference League game hours after the news came through. They held a minute's silence and then broke out in God Save the Queen. English Premier League matches are set to be postponed this weekend following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. At this stage, all sport scheduled for Friday in the UK has been called off. And play at the BMW PGA Championship at Surrey in England has been suspended following the death of Her Majesty. The NRL and AFL will have tributes to the Queen at finals matches across the weekend. Melbourne will take on Brisbane tonight at the MCG, while it will be Collingwood and Fremantle at the MCG tomorrow. And Stephanie Gilmore has won a record-breaking 8th World Surfing title after beating defending champion Carissa Moore in California. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
First National Real Estate. Their team of real estate experts will put you first.
In Direct, there's a smash on Heathslip Road near Huxtable Road. Thorngate, urgent electrical works on Main North Road near Dutton Terrace. In Crayford, look out for fog on the freeway near the tunnel. Speeds are down to 80. That's affecting both directions. And Fullerton intersection works continue on Cross Road at Fullerton Road. That's slow going with speeds down to 40. Disney Plus Day is here with exclusive premieres from Disney, Marvel Studios and more. Sign up now for Disney Plus for only $1.99. T's and C's apply. That's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Peter Jackson Blinds and Awnings for stunning service and results. Adelaide Metro and Mount Barker. Search Peter Jackson Blinds.
Showers and 16 today, partly cloudy over the weekend, tops of 16, then a possible shower Monday, 15. At the moment, 13. More news as it happens on 5AA.
With everything going on, it's tough to stay ahead. But you can always rely on a great Aussie shed to protect your tractor, boat or car, even turned into your very own bar. Somewhere to pile up your bales of hay or to escape with a block of clay. Whatever the plan for your Great Aussie Shed, act fast, because our Great Aussie Shed sale is here at last. Visit one of our 4 display centres today. Olympic Industries, built to last.
Well, today is World Electric Vehicle Day. Every day, more South Australians are embracing the future and going with EVs.
We went out having a gentle hoon around in one the other day. Hoon's the wrong word. We weren't hooning. Will was a very responsible driver. It was a lot of fun. And we did it with RAA's Mark Borlace, the man himself, road testing it. And it was a really good ride.
It was, wasn't it?
But the thing that keeps ringing in my ears is that it costs 30% of what a tank of petrol does to fill the thing up.
And I looked down at the dashboard. The range said 430 Ks. Yeah, that'd suit most people in their normal lifestyle.
Certainly
I would
would.
think. It's good to know that RAA is leading the charge with EV innovations for over 100 years. RAA has been there to keep you moving, and in the future, South Australian motorists can expect a comprehensive statewide charging network and a team of independent RAA-approved repairers that are EV ready.
So whether you've upgraded to an EV or are cruising in your current vehicle, before you head out on your next road trip to do the fun stuff, let our great friends at RAA take care of the car stuff. Search RAA Motor for more. RAA-approved repairers are independent service providers, not agents of RAA. Terms and conditions apply. Available from RAA.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA, David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
21 minutes to 8. Lots of lovely stories coming through to us on the Automasters text line. Some calls as well. The phone lines are open right through till 9 o'clock on this program, and we're talking nothing but Queen Elizabeth II. So if you'd like to be part of that conversation, 8223 0000. And as we say, there's no pressure. If you haven't met the Queen but you'd just like to register your condolences or indeed how impressed you are with her 70-year reign, you're more than welcome to. We'd love to chat with everyone, regardless of what they've got to say. 8223 0000. In amongst the really touching tributes, there's some lovely stories coming out as well. I know one of my favourite Queen Elizabeth stories was a rather pointed gesture she made when she was driving around, that being the key point in 2003, King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia. You might recall Saudi Arabia has a fairly outdated approach to women driving cars. That is, they're not allowed to. So when he visited the Queen, she made a point of driving him round the estate at Balmoral in her Land Rover, which is one of my favourite all-time stories about the Queen.
One thing about the Queen too, excellent taste in vehicles. Those old Land Rovers, how good are they? Like they look like a drawing of a car that a kid's done. Just the perfect rectangle and then the perfect box shape on top. But the way they're made, they're like little military vehicles and very rugged outdoor life she led, and the story earlier about when the car broke down and she fixed it herself. Like
mechanic for the ambulance service during the Second World War.
There's a generation that could use its hands.
That was my favourite story. This might be my new favourite story. This is an ex-royal cop who tells this story that's now become famous at the Platinum Jubilee about an experience he had with the Queen.
And normally on these picnic sites, you meet nobody. But there was two hikers coming towards us, and the Queen would always stop and say hello. And it was two Americans on a walking holiday. And it was clear from the moment that we first stopped, they hadn't recognised the Queen, which is fine. And the American gentleman was telling the Queen where he came from, where they were going to next, and where they'd been to in Britain. And I could see it coming, and sure enough, he said to Her Majesty, "And where do you live?" And she said, "Well, I live in London, but I've got a holiday home just the other side of the hills." And he said, "Well, how often have you been coming up here?" "Oh," she said, "I've been coming up here ever since I was a little girl, so over 80 years. And you could see the clogs thinking. He said, "Well, if you've been coming up here for 80 years, you must have met the Queen." And as quick as a flash says, "Well, I haven't, but Dick here meets her regularly." So the guy said to me, "Oh, you've met the Queen, what's she like?" And because I was with her a long time and I knew I could pull a leg, I said, "Oh, she can be very cantankerous at times, but she's got a lovely sense of humour." Anyway, the next thing I knew, this guy comes around, puts his arm around my shoulder, and before I could see what was happening, he gets his camera, gives it to the Queen, and says, "Can you take a picture of the two of us?" Anyway, we swapped places, and I took a picture of them with the Queen, and we never let on, and we waved goodbye. And then Her Majesty said to me, "I'd love to be a fly on the wall when he shows those photographs to the friends in America, and hopefully someone tells him who I am."
And the reason I love that story, because we're getting a lot of really worthy and splendid stories about the Queen and what a magnificent ruler she was, but everyone references the sense of humour, and that is a great insight into the wonderful sense of humour that she had.
The way in which people's lives are being framed locally by this is being borne out with the messages that we're getting where people are relating the Queen's longevity to their own family tree. Ian in Morphett Vale writes, "Dave and Will, Queen Elizabeth II was my monarch for all of my 70 years. She died on what would have been my mum's 97th birthday. Mum passed away on July 24, so the news is particularly sad and poignant." Thank you for that, Ian.
Philip Benwell is the chair of the Australian Monarchist League and joins us now on 5AA Breakfast. Philip, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on this sad day.
Good morning. Thank you.
A lot of people have been reflecting on the Queen's service and the grace and dignity that she brought to the position. Philip, she really was a tower of strength for so long, wasn't she?
She was. For more than 70 years, since basically she was a young girl, she has been dedicating her life to service to others. And you could see that in her attitude. And it was wonderful to see her growing into the role and beginning to be at ease and to smile. And she had a wonderful smile that totally lit up the room. But above all that, her utter dedication to doing the right thing and going out of her way never to put a foot wrong, considering everything she did, we will never see her like again.
Philip, what would you like to impress on our listeners with regard to her reign as the Queen of Australia? Is there something that stands out about her relationship with this country?
Well, she has always sought to do the right thing by the people. The people have always been uppermost in her mind. When there was the debate in the 1990s, she always maintained a neutral position and said, it is up to the Australian people to decide. And if they don't want me, then I'll go. And that was her attitude. It's what the people want. But as a person, we're beginning to hear a lot of the stories about her, how she moved around, how she was at ease with people, how she put people at their ease, and acted as a normal person once she was not in a formal situation. But she was not just Queen, she was a wonderful person.
Yeah.
And I think, I do hope that she is given the title of Elizabeth the Great or something like that because she deserves it.
Yeah, no, that's a very apt suggestion, Philip. Philip Benwell, the chair of the Australian Monarchist League. Thank you for joining us this morning.
All right, let's head out to Burnside. Good morning to you, John.
Morning, gents. How you going? Am I coming through okay?
Yep. Can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Just more of a story about the UK and probably how she resonated across the UK. But I lived there for quite a few years back in the 90s and early 2000s, and fortunately I made my way back for a friend's wedding earlier this year, and it actually happened to be the weekend of the Jubilee. That was, obviously a weekend of great celebration, and the wedding itself was around Windsor, so I got to basically camp out around Windsor during the Jubilee for the entire weekend. And gents, you just should have seen the crowds that were coming to Windsor every day across that time were just, I just had an absolute reflection of, the nature of the Queen and her reign in a sense, because the relevance that she had just meant that the byproduct was there were just thousands of people going through Windsor in it every day, and into the night in terms of the celebration across that weekend. And in some ways, it just reminded me that in whichever way you lie and your perceptions of the royal family and stuff like that, but the baseline of the Queen and what she meant to the UK and probably what she means out in Australia is more a reflection of herself and her own true values. Yeah. And, the foundation of, the relationship between our two countries. And it was just something that resonated with me when I went back.
Yeah, well put, John.
Absolutely, well said. Thank you, John. Let's go to Elizabeth East. Pat, good morning.
Good morning to you both. My daughter and I were invited to attend the arrival of the Queen at the Parafield Airport in 1954, and as the Queen stepped out from the plane, it was the DC-3, I think. She was dressed in sky blue, and I said to my daughter, "The Queen looks lovely," and the Prince was behind her, dressed in his naval gear, all of the went with it, and she said, yes, she's nice, but he's fabulous.
So where were you, Pat? Were you at Parafield Airport, or were you along the route from Parafield?
No, we were at Parafield Airport, and they had a temporary couple of stands built for about 30 people that were there. The reason I was there was my late husband was involved in the security, and he couldn't come. He was in hospital, and
it must have been such a day, Pat. I was reading up about it this morning. 200,000 people were there.
Yeah, I can never ever forget the image of the Queen as she stepped from the plane.
Yeah,
and she looked absolutely gorgeous, and she had a broad smile on her face.
Yeah,
wonderful memories. That's great, Pat.
Thank you, Pat. It's a lovely call.
So they arrived on Thursday, 18th of March, 1954. 200,000 people lined the streets from Parafield Airport. They were then met by the Premier Tom Playford, went to Government House. Then the next day, Friday, March 19, the Royal Progress through Adelaide was attended by an estimated 300,000 people. You think, what was the state's population then? Not 1 million. Then the royal couple, they went to the races at Morphettville. They went to the Adelaide Oval, watched a cricket match between country teams, and over the following week, they visited Whyalla, Port Lincoln. They met children gathered at the Wayville Showgrounds. They visited Renmark, and the Queen also opened Parliament. So if you were among the 300,000 people who witnessed any of that, like Pat, give us a call, 8223 0000.
We're going to take a break. We'll check traffic first. Until your new BMW arrives, Adelaide BMW will help keep your current vehicle fueled. T's and C's apply.
In Manningham, look out for a smash on North East Road near Taunton Road. Direct a smash clearing on Heaslip Road near Huxtable Road. Thorngate urgent electrical works on Main North Road near Dutton Terrace. And Cavan asphalt works on Port Wakefield Road near Montague Road, affecting both directions. Fullerton intersection works continue on Cross Road at Fullerton Road. Tomorrow's car is in stock today. Tech Drive a Hyundai Tucson Turbo Diesel at your Hyundai dealer and experience innovative tech and all-wheel drive performance. That's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The Isuzu D-Max is born to tow. With 3.5-tonne towing capacity, trailer sway control and a reversing camera as standard across the range. Hurry to your local Isuzu Ute dealer today.
If you want to build a new home, something that reflects you and your lifestyle, then you really need to speak with Beechwood Homes. And just so you know, they won't try and sell you a house plan. In fact, there's no house plans until you tell them what you want. So go for it. Start thinking of all the possibilities or get in touch with Beechwood Homes for a few thought starters. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
If you want to be swimming this summer, well, there's still time to get in touch with Rainwise Pools, but you'd better hurry or you may miss another summer of fun poolside connecting with family and friends.
Do what I did only a year ago. Best decision we've ever made as a family. Get in touch with Rainwise Pools. So at the first hint of warm weather, your sparkling Rainwise pool is good to go.
Rainwise is a family company with real values. They consistently win awards for workmanship, service and price.
They're just nice people, easy to deal with. And the pools are very affordable, and Rainwise recently took out the SA Award for Excellence in Fiberglass Pools, costing up to $60,000. That was along with the National Award in the same category. And also Harrison Hawkins from Rainwise, he was a finalist for the National Construction Tradespersons Award for Excellence.
If you want to escape to paradise in your own backyard, act now. Visit rainwisepoolsadelaide.com.au. That's rainwisepoolsadelaide.com.au.
Budget car and truck rental make life easy. Whether you need to move equipment, furniture, fresh produce or people, you'll find the widest variety of vehicles at competitive prices at Budget Car and Truck Rental. With 7 convenient locations across the metro area, plus regional locations, you'll find a budget near you. So if you're moving out or in, taking a load to the tip or going on a big trip, do it with Budget Car and Truck Rental. Call 13 27 27. That's 13 27 27.
At Harvey Norman, get 60 months interest-free, no deposit finance from Latitude and receive a bonus gift card up to $1,000. Shop furniture, bedding, computers and technology, TVs and entertainment and more. That's 60 months interest-free, no deposit, no interest from Latitude with 60 approximately equal monthly payments and receive a bonus gift card up to $1,000. Finance only available if you have or are approved for a participating Latitude credit card. Minimum finance amount $1,000. See T's and C's. Interest applies for non-compliance. Fees and product exclusions apply. Now at Harvey Norman.
Go!
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 to 8, the Premier of South Australia coming up after 8 o'clock this morning. They've hung the hatchment out the front of Government House, which is a South Australian tradition. We'll continue to take your calls as well on 8223 0000. You can text us on the Automasters text line. Whether your story is a personal one, a profound one, or just a recognition of the Queen's service, we're more than happy to hear from you this morning on 5AA Breakfast as we remember Queen Elizabeth II.
A few moments ago, Buckingham Palace announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. The Palace has just issued this statement. It says the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The King and the Queen Consort will remain at Balmoral this evening and will return to London tomorrow. Within the past few minutes, Buckingham Palace has announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Today is November the 20th, 1947. The time, 11 o'clock. A nation and a world watch. An heiress presumptive to the throne marries the man of her choice. As the 21-year-old princess arrived at Westminster Abbey, it was her moment too.
The last and grandest symbol of all is the crown of St. Edward. It is blessed by the Archbishop at the altar. The climax of the ceremony has arrived when the Archbishop gently sets this splendid emblem on the Queen's head.
As this day draws to its close, I know that my abiding memory of it will be not only the solemnity and beauty of the ceremony, but the inspiration of your loyalty and affection. I thank you all from a full heart. God bless you all. To all who are here today, and to all your young brothers and sisters throughout Australia, I send my good wishes for the future. I am sure that when you grow up, you will not forget what you have shown at Wayville today, that a great deal can be accomplished when everyone works together for a common purpose.
So, in the bicentennial year of the arrival of the First Fleet, and in the 75th anniversary year of the foundation of Canberra, there can surely be no more appropriate day for the opening of this magnificent new home for the Commonwealth Parliament. It is fitting, therefore, and a great pleasure for me, to offer my best wishes to all those who will be giving their service to the nation within these walls, and to declare open the new Parliament House of the Commonwealth of Australia.
However, I think that the main lesson that we've learned is that tolerance is the one essential ingredient of any happy marriage. It may not be quite so important when things are going well, but it is absolutely vital when things get difficult. And you can take it from me that the Queen has the quality of tolerance and abundance.
So what I say to you now, as your Queen and as a grandmother, I say from my heart. First, I want to pay tribute to Diana myself. She was an exceptional and gifted human being. In good times and bad, she never lost her capacity to smile and laugh, nor to inspire others with her warmth and kindness. I admired and respected her for her energy and commitment to others, and especially for her devotion to her two boys. Whatever may lie ahead, I declare again here tonight that my admiration, affection and regard for the people of Australia will remain, as it has been over these past 50 years, constant, sure and true. I would like to remind you of the very successful games at Sydney in 1938, in Perth in 1962, and in Brisbane in 1982. Together, they underline the impressive contribution that Australia has made to the successful development of the Commonwealth. It now gives me the greatest pleasure to declare the 18th Commonwealth Games open.
Ever since we installed the statue, it has been the most popular place for people to take photographs, ma'am.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yes, I would think possibly it might be quite alarming to suddenly see it out of the window. While we have faced challenges before, this one is different. We should take comfort that while we may have more still to endure, better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
Hi, I'm Izzy and my family runs St. Louis Home Care, which was started by my great-grandma 76 years ago. We'd like you to meet Jen, our physiotherapist. She's supported the health and well-being of our clients for 18 years.
I love being part of a team because it's a family business. I think we're really caring and we all know each other really well. And our goal is just to keep our clients living at home where they want to be.
Yes, Jen, independence is so important. Google St. Louis Home Care to find out how my family can help take care of yours.
Have you got your tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery yet? Well, get into gear. If you get your tickets before midnight tonight, you could be one of 8 lucky winners driving away in a brand new Audi Q2. Imagine being one of those 8 lucky winners picking up the keys to an Audi just for getting in early. It's a slick, compact SUV. The Q2 has a retail value of over $52,000, and the Hospital Research Foundation has thrown in 12 months of registration to get you on the road sooner. But hurry, get your tickets before midnight tonight, and those Audi keys could be yours. Plus, your tickets stay in the draw for tons of life-changing prizes and help support our incredible healthcare workers. Don't miss out. Get your tickets before midnight tonight at homelottery.com.au.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers and 16 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brattig.
Don't miss 8 Audi bonus draws in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Deadline is midnight tonight.
Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II has died peacefully at Balmoral Castle overnight at the age of 96. Her family was by her side. Lindsay Brennan looks back on her life.
Born April 21, 1926, Elizabeth was the first child of the Duke of York, who later became King George VI. As a teenager, she fell in love with Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark, the pair marrying in 1947.
Once only in 1100 years of British kingship has there been such a day. An heiress presumptive to the throne marries the man of her choice.
Their first child, Prince Charles, was born in 1948, followed by Princess Anne less than 2 years later. The heir presumptive became Queen Elizabeth II in 1953, following the death of her father.
Is Your Majesty willing to take the oath?
I am willing. Her Majesty welcomed 2 more children, Princes Andrew and Edward, in 1960 and 64 respectively. The love of her life, Prince Philip, died in 2021, just months before his 100th birthday. The Queen was the only reigning monarch to have set foot on Australian soil, visiting 16 times, the most recent in 2011.
And flags are flying at half-mast at Parliament House in Canberra and across the nation in honour of the Queen. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese will head to London for her funeral as Commonwealth nations mark 15 days of mourning. He says it's a sad day for all.
Queen Elizabeth II is the only reigning monarch most of us have known, and the only one to ever visit Australia. And over the course of a remarkable 7 decades, Her Majesty was a rare and reassuring constant amidst rapid change.
While Opposition Leader Peter Dutton has honoured the grace in which the Queen has always conducted herself.
She was able to transform into a world figure, and she's carried herself with incredible poise every day since, through war, through every natural disaster. Always her heartfelt condolences to Australia where we had gone through a difficult time.
And here in SA, a hatchment has been hung on the gates of Government House to mark the death of the Sovereign, a tradition observed here since 1901. Governor Francis Adamson says condolence books are also available to sign.
Government House will be open for the next 14 days for any South Australians who wish to sign those condolence books. The Department of Premier and Cabinet has made arrangements for condolence books to be signed electronically should people wish to do that.
And world leaders are continuing to pay tribute to Her Majesty, among them US President Joe Biden and French President Emmanuel Macron, while New Zealand's Jacinda Ardern's paying tribute to the monarch's service, charity and consistency.
Her commitment to her role and to all of us has been without question and unwavering. She has also demonstrated courage, compassion and humour. A strong memory I will have of her is her laughter. She was extraordinary.
And Pope Francis is offering his condolences in an open letter to the new King Charles III. The pontiff saying he's praying for God to sustain his unfailing grace as he takes up his new responsibility. The Queen's death heralds a new era for the UK. UK correspondent Enda Brady says Her Majesty was the fabric of British life.
The national anthem now will change. Our currency will change. The stamps we use to write to Australia and friends all over the world will change.
Turning to other news now, and 2 men are in hospital with serious injuries after separate assaults overnight. The first happened at Clemzig. An 18-year-old man was found at the Clemzig interchange with head and facial injuries. He had been assaulted at a house nearby. And a man was hit by a car and then assaulted in Briar Road at Felixstowe by an unknown person. The 40-year-old suffered arm and leg injuries. Changes to COVID isolation rules have officially come into force. More from Michaela Kamarik.
COVID-infected South Australians now only have to isolate for 5 days rather than 7. The changes to the isolation rules came into effect at midnight, a week after National Cabinet came to the agreement to maintain national consistency. There are some additional requirements. Anyone leaving isolation cannot visit or work at a high-risk setting like a hospital or aged care centre for another 2 days, or if they still have symptoms. Masks have also been scrapped on domestic and incoming overseas flights, and the daily release of COVID case numbers is a thing of the past. SA Health will now send out a weekly update. 654 new COVID infections were recorded in SA yesterday, and another 4 people died with the virus.
And a South Australian mum has won the entire $40 million Powerball. Her winning 50-game quick pick was bought online. Anna Hobden from The Lot says the Snowtown residents over the moon.
She was honestly in shock. She was rendered speechless. There was a bit of colourful language here and there, but completely understandable after winning a multi-million-dollar prize this big.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a Gliderol roller door and operator by September 30 for some free upgrades. Search Gliderol for details.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Sporting fixtures across the UK are being called off after Her Majesty's death. Friday's play in the cricket test between England and South Africa has been cancelled, along with all race meetings in Britain. Play has been abandoned at the PGA Championship at Wentworth, and Day 2 will not take place. The English Football League has postponed 2 of today's games. Sporting fixtures in Australia will go ahead with the AFL and NRL matches to take place, but tributes are expected at those. Melbourne will host Brisbane tonight in a semi-final clash at the MCG, while Collingwood will take on Fremantle tomorrow. In overseas action, Australian Steph Gilmore is officially the greatest women's surfer of all time, winning a record 8th World Surf League crown in a final against 5-time champion Carissa Moore. Gilmore surpassing fellow Aussie Lane Beachley, who has 7 titles, coming from 5th to take the honours.
Let's close this one out. One of the most emotional and deserving moments of Stephanie Gilmore's career. She holds the record to herself, officially an 8-time world champion.
Unbelievable effort that, and Australia has won its ODI series against New Zealand after thumping the Kiwis by 113 runs in Cairns. The Aussies were restricted to 9 for 195 from their 50 overs, but dismissed the Black Caps for only 82. Adam Zampa leading the way, taking 5 wickets. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
First National Real Estate. Their team of real estate experts will put you first.
In Jepps Cross, a smash on Port Wakefield Road near Cabin Road. Manningham, a smash on North East Road near Taunton Road. In Direct, they're still cleaning up after an earlier smash on Heathslip Road near Huxtable Road. And Linden Park, the lights are going in and out on Portrush Road at Greenhill Road. In Tonsley, speeds are reduced on the Southern Expressway heading inbound for queuing. It's the spring super sale at Amart. Save up to 50% off a huge range of furniture. Hurry, you won't want to miss this, so head in for up to 50% off at Amart. That's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Peter Jackson Blinds and Awnings for stunning service and results. Adelaide Metro and Mount Barker. Search Peter Jackson Blinds.
Showers and 16 today, partly cloudy over the weekend, tops of 16 and a possible shower Monday, 15. At the moment, 13. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Did you know Specsavers also cares for your hearing and offers upfront everyday low prices on hearing aids? Specsavers Audiology, proud sponsor of Healthy Living with Dr. Ross Walker. Sunday nights on 5AA and podcast at 5AA.com.au.
Patience pays off, especially if you've been holding out for a great deal on a new Volkswagen. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen is now receiving truckloads of new Volkswagens. Yes, they're coming. And they're available at amazing prices. Remember Mawson Lakes Volkswagen for servicing too, with next day servicing and free loan cars. Get a great deal on Volkswagen now. Don't dilly-dally, dawdle or delay. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
To the shores of this, her southern realm, the royal barge bears Elizabeth II. By the grace of God, of the United Kingdom, Australia, and her other realms and territories, Queen, head of the Commonwealth, defender of the faith.
The first section of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Australia provides that the legislative power of the Commonwealth shall be vested in a federal parliament which shall consist of the Queen, a Senate and a House of Representatives. It is therefore a joy for me today to address you not as a queen from far away, but as your queen, and as a part of your parliament.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
11 after 8, taking your calls right through 9 o'clock this morning on the death of Queen Elizabeth II. 822 300 getting some lovely memories of visits here to South Australia. The impression she left on people right around the world and why she was so admired. Trying to capture the scene outside of Buckingham Palace for you this morning. We crossed there about just under an hour ago and got a sense of what it was like. Rain had come down and thinned the crowd out, but we've managed to capture some audio for you that will give you a bit of an insight. This is just a short time ago outside Buckingham Palace.
Happy and glorious, long to reign over us. Lord save our King.
Spontaneous showings like that, the anthem being sung. Previously we've heard people, 3 cheers for Her Majesty. God Save the King's been chanted. People are clapping, but at the same time people are consoling each other and in tears. It's a mixture of emotions that I think is perhaps most intense there, but being replicated elsewhere around the world. We had a wonderful call before 8 o'clock regarding her visit to Parafield Airport, and you had that amazing statistic. How many people turned out? 300,000?
300,000 people. 200,000 people turned out to line the route when she landed at Parafield, but then the following day there were 300,000 people watching all her and the Duke's movements across Adelaide when they went to Elizabeth. They went to the Wayville Showgrounds, met school children there. Then they had a regional tour, Port Lincoln, Whyalla, Renmark. But in the city of Adelaide itself, in 1954, 300,000 people, and the population at the time was...
The population in 1954 was 484,000.
So 300,000 out of 480,000 South Australians saw the Queen that day, which...
Right now it's about 1.3 million. So proportionally, that would be about 900,000 people turning up to Parafield Airport. I reckon aliens could land at Parafield Airport and you wouldn't get 900,000 people out there today. Such is the draw power of the Queen.
We should also say we're proud to be broadcasting today for you, South Australia, out of Adelaide, because not every radio station is doing that this morning. There are some other local radio stations, ostensibly local radio stations, that are covering this out of Melbourne. And I think it's important that, you know, given the Queen visited our country 11 times, the visits that she made to Adelaide were hugely important. We've named a suburb in her honour, for crying out loud. This is something that we want to hear your stories and cover this story from a local South Australian perspective.
Absolutely. Hugh Whitfield is in Balmoral and covering this story for Channel 7. We were in Buckingham Palace earlier, but Balmoral is where the Queen passed. Hugh, good morning. What's it been like in Scotland in the last 12 hours or so?
Good morning, Gentle. Look, it's been a dramatic day here because the news developed over the course of the day. Initially, we were told, obviously, yesterday here that the Queen had been ordered to rest, and then the statement came through kind of mid-evening your time last night, saying that the Queen was being monitored and that she was comfortable, but doctors were concerned. And then we saw kind of the rush of senior members of the royal family to get up here. Now, Charles was in Scotland already. He was over at Dumfries House in Galloway down in the Scottish borders. Princess Anne was also in Scotland as well. So they've been here most of the day. They got here before the Queen passed away. We've been going through the timings of how this has all played out. We saw Andrew, William, Edward and Sophie arrive just before 5 o'clock in the afternoon local time. They got a plane together up from an RAF base outside London and landed at Aberdeen Airport and then were driven over. It's about an hour and 20 minutes. They, I think, arrived after the Queen had passed away because we now understand that the UK Prime Minister was told at 4:30 in the afternoon, so about half an hour before they arrived here, that the Queen had died, and then 2 hours later, obviously, that news was revealed to the public, and that's when the people who'd been coming by most of the day, who were normally just people who'd drop in, tourists coming past on a road trip through the Scottish Highlands, they might stop in for a coffee here at the gates to Balmoral Castle. It changed into people who'd clearly been to the local co-op down the road to get a bunch of flowers to come here and lay it, and mainly locals who live around this very sparsely populated little pocket of Scotland where the Queen has found so much comfort over the years here at Balmoral.
Thank you for that, Hugh. Hugh Whitfield for Channel 7 at Balmoral. We're going to talk now to our Premier, Peter Malinauskas. We caught up earlier in the program with our Governor, Frances Adamson, and Her Excellency walked us through some of the vice-regal protocols that are in place to observe and commemorate and remember Her Majesty the Queen. Premier, good morning. A sad day, but also a day when we should reflect, and I'm thinking a bit too with your own familial heritage. The Queen was a champion of democracy. I mean, obviously, the royal system itself is not innately democratic, but as a defender of parliamentary democracy, even when Australia was considering cutting ties with the Queen in 1999, her view was always, that's up to you, that's up to the people to decide. She was a bulwark of freedom in a lot of ways, wasn't she?
Couldn't be more true, Dave. So, I mean, I'm a Republican, Dave, but the key element, there's a few key elements about the events of today. And the first one is to acknowledge the service of the Queen herself. I mean, 70 years reign. Think about all of the unprecedented and extraordinary changes that occurred within the Commonwealth over that period. Cultural change, economic change. I mean, it's truly been the most rapid change we've ever experienced in any other monarch's life. And she's presided over all of that with steadfastness, grace, poise, calmness. I think it's a great credit to her. It's a lifelong dedication. Then there's the actual crown itself. It's an opportunity to reflect upon what the crown and what the sovereign represents. And that goes directly to what you just articulated, which is that liberal democratic ideal, this idea that self-determination is at the centre of the way we govern ourselves. And the sovereign is the embodiment of that, is the very representation of that. And for anyone that's had the privilege to go to Government House, and that's a lot of South Australians, whether they be Year 12 Merit Award recipients or other South Australians who just go there on an open day, there is a reverence about the place that represents something greater than all of us. And it is that idea that as individuals, there are protections and liberties that are afforded by the sovereign and what they represent. And this is an opportunity to reflect on that as well.
We noted earlier, Premier, that the Torrens footbridge was lit up in memory earlier this morning. I just wonder if there's any other plans for commemoration in Adelaide, and perhaps more specifically in Elizabeth, which notable for being named after her in 1955, but also because of our huge English heritage that calls that part of Adelaide home. Could there be something there, perhaps even permanent, to mark Her Majesty?
Well, Will, there is a whole suite of arrangements that are now being rolled out as we speak to reflect upon the Queen's service. So first and foremost, I was on the phone to Her Excellency, the Governor, at around about 2:30, 3 o'clock this morning when we were advised of the news, and then we quickly set in train the proceedings for the day and the coming weeks ahead. So that started this morning with the hanging of the hatchment, which I think you spoke to the Governor about. So this is a really uniquely South Australian tradition. It's been undertaken ever since the passing of Queen Victoria. So now when South Australians drive past Government House, they'll see on the left-hand pillar the hatchment being hung, and I was there with the Governor at 7 o'clock this morning when that took place. Government House is already open. The Governor and I were able to observe and peruse the condolence books and the setup that has been afforded there at Government House in the main foyer and also the ballroom. That is now open and will be for the next 14 days until 9 o'clock in the evening each day. We've got black banners that have already been pre-produced that are now being hung on King William Street throughout the course of this morning. Flags are flying at half-mast. There is a wreath-laying that the Governor and I will do at 10 o'clock this morning, and there'll be opportunities for South Australians to make those follow-up tributes at the statue of the Queen outside Government House. And then there will be, over the coming days, a range of other important events. There's a formal proclamation that takes place, and that hasn't occurred in 70 years. Of course, the last time that occurred 70 years ago, there was a huge crowd on the steps of Parliament House when that occurred. Parliament will have to be recalled. There will be an official state church service. So all these arrangements in place. You never hope for a day like this, but naturally we've been preparing for it and planning for it for some time.
Hey, Premier, just for the benefit of people like me, I must admit I didn't know what the hatchment was. Can you explain exactly what it is for the benefit of other listeners who like me, are confused as to what it is?
Yeah, sure. So the hatchment is an insignia that has been painted in a black frame that is hung diagonally on the pillar. I'd say it's about a half a metre squared, Dave. So it's
like a coat of arms.
A coat of arms, almost, yes. And it's hung in Her Majesty's name. It's principally black, but with a colour tribute, and it's specific to South Australia. So on it is represented the desert pea, and of course the piping shrike. So it's all there, and there's a humility to it, but a reverence to it as well. And it was a privilege to see that being hung at 7 o'clock this morning. An appropriately sort of drizzly.
Yeah, it feels like the right weather for today, doesn't it?
It's absolutely the right weather for today. And I was watching it being hung, and the Governor and I were reflecting upon the fact that this hasn't happened in 70 years. And it, like I said, this is a very unique South Australian tradition that commenced on the passing of Queen Victoria. So when people go into Government House, and I suspect there are going to be a lot, gents, who do go into Government House to sign those condolence books, they'll be able to walk past this very significant special South Australian tradition. But like I said, that'll just be the beginning. So, and I'll be making a statement later today about those other more established events, and speaking to the Leader of the Opposition about it naturally, and making sure we do everything as has been preordained and meticulously planned.
Premier, thank you.
Thanks, Premier.
Premier of South Australia, Peter Malinauskas. Let's go to Allenby Gardens. Rosalie's called in. Rosalie, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will and Mr. Ellis. How are you? Okay, Mr. Yeah, I'll fill you in on Mr. Ellis later and what he's been up to. But anyway, look, this is just such a sad time, and we've lost our most iconic, hard-working Queen, and Her Royal Highness is now at peace with her beloved husband, Prince Philip. And my little sister, and Mr. Ellis, you may know Ray Atke, the quite well-known journalist from South Australia, what happened was, like my parents came as refugees from Budapest, Hungary, and when the Queen was due to come in Rundle Mall in 1977, my other two, like my little sister, big sister, and I, we all attended college there, and my best friend was Joanne, and her stepmother was Rayatki. Anyway, what happened was we had to all get ready and go down the mall, but my parents had packed these beautiful Hungarian cufflinks and other beautiful things, because my parents were involved in the Hungarian club in Norwood. And so what happened was the Queen was walking nearby, and Mary, my little sister, was saying to my big sister and I, you know, shall I go now? And my big sister and I said, yes, go now. And we pushed her out, and she ran over to the Queen and stood there peacefully, as you could see in the pictures in the Sunday Mail a few weeks ago. There she was in her little red suit as a 12-year-old, I think she was, 12 or 13. And I think a lady was handing something to the Queen. Anyway, so when Mary had a moment, she actually handed the gifts to the Queen, and as Europeans, we always kiss each other on the cheek. Now, so of course Mary kissed the Queen on the cheek. We as kids didn't know that was breaking royal protocol, you know.
I'm sure she didn't mind,
Rosalie. Two security guards came and grabbed Mary, and anyway, so then she disappeared into the crowd. Anyway, Joanne, I'm not really sure, but she might have contacted her stepmother. Anyway, not long after that, the reporters came to the college, and they had to ring my parents to see if it was okay to take pictures and interview Mary.
Wow. It's a great story, Rosalie. Thank you so much. We appreciate you sharing it with us. I think Paul Keating didn't know the protocol either, did he?
No.
I mean, people have fallen foul of it previously.
That was the page one headline of the London Sun, The Lizard of Oz, with the photo of him putting his hand on the Queen's back.
All right, let's check traffic until your new BMW arrives. Adelaide BMW help keep your current vehicle fueled. T's and C's apply.
In Jeps Cross, a smash on Port Wakefield Road near Cavan Road. Manningham, a smash on North East Road near Taunton Road. In Direct, they're still cleaning up after an earlier smash on Heathslip Road near Huxtable Road. And Linden Park, the lights are going in and out on Portrush Road at Greenhill Road. In Tonsley, speeds are reduced on the Southern Expressway heading inbound for queuing. It's the Spring Super Sale at Amart. Save up to 50% off a huge range of furniture. Hurry, you won't want to miss this, so head in for up to 50% off at Amart. That's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Don't just send it.
Well, David, we've been cruising around in the electric car thanks to the RAA and learning about this brand new technology.
It's been a lot of fun, and now we're going to catch up with Mark Borlace from the RAA to hear about all of the benefits and savings from driving an electric vehicle.
So often we've had you on the program to say, what the hell are going on with petrol prices, because everyone's getting ripped off. Yeah. It's nice to have this car behind us and know if you own it, that's not something you're ever going to have to worry about ever again.
Yeah, you can kind of vaccinate yourself from petrol bills and charge at home. You know, 90% of people will plug these things home and charge overnight, but these are sort of the affordable end of the market. And as you say, it's got a 450k range. It's starting to feel and look and do what a normal car does, and that's when people start to love them.
For commercial and residential property management, we are here to help. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
Ah, summer with a Rainwise pool. Summer without a Rainwise pool.
Got him. Wish we had a Rainwise pool.
Book your Rainwise pool install now so you can be doing more of this in summer. And remember, Rainwise pools take care of everything. Just bring a towel. Visit rainwise.com.au.
G'day, it's Eddie May from NRG Solar. Don't you hate it when things are out of your control, like electricity prices? They're skyrocketing, and if you've just received your winter power bill, you'll know exactly what I mean. With NRG Solar on your roof, combined with battery storage, you could zero out those power bills altogether. Visit nrgsolar.com.au today and take control of your power bills for good. That's nrgsolar.com.au or visit our interactive showroom at 406 South Road at Richmond.
Introducing Nissan Future Value Business Plus, a new fleet finance solution for small to medium businesses offering competitive weekly repayments including the cost of scheduled servicing for the loan term. Available now on the Nissan Navara SL 4x4 Dual Cab Auto with more models to come. Plan confidently for the road ahead with Nissan Future Value Business Plus. Visit nissan.com.au/business plus or contact your local Nissan dealer. Approved ABN registered small to medium fleet applicants of Nissan Financial Services. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
How far would you go for your dream kitchen?
And how far would you go to not deal with organising all the trades? How about 15 minutes up the freeway to Balmoral Kitchens by Design? 2, the largest showroom in the Adelaide Hills. Custom build your dream with our award-winning designers. Plus, we can manage the installation and all sub-trades at a fixed price. Balmoral Kitchens by Design. It's not too far to go to make your dream a reality. balmouralkitchens.com.au.
At Audica, our clinicians offer expertise, technology and value for every ear. Give your ears some love this winter. Save up to 20% off a selected range of our hearing devices and feel confident. With a 60-day money-back guarantee as well as a 4-year device warranty. If you're over 26, book your free hearing check today. Sale ends 31st August, T's and C's apply. Visit audica.com.au.
Building amazing homes is important to Beechwood Homes, and so is the environment. So when you build with Beechwood, you're building a better environment for our kids and grandkids. Here's why. Around 70% of scrap materials from every Beechwood home is recycled. Bricks, rubble, timber, gyprock and steel, none of it goes to landfill. It's all sorted and recycled. So life really is good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide today for a better future for all of us.
Look around your house and yard. If you see old tools, broken bike frames, an old fridge and even that old car, don't look at it as junk, look at it as dollar signs. At Nor Metals, our priority is to give you the best value for your scrap metal disposal. We offer cash for scrap Monday to Friday and Saturday mornings for a range of different steel supplies and car components, including bodies and radiators. Get cash for your scrap at Nor Metals, 255 Grand Junction Road, Ottaway.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers and 16 with the 8:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Don't miss 8 Audi bonus draws in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Deadline is midnight tonight.
There are tributes for Queen Elizabeth II, who's died peacefully at Balmoral Castle, surrounded by her family. She was 96. Mourners are flocking to the gates of Buckingham Palace to pay their respects. Ruth Wynne-Williams is there.
Crowds began gathering late this afternoon as news spread of the extent of Her Majesty's ill health. The Queen's death officially confirmed at 6:30 p.m. London time, with the flag at Buckingham Palace lowered to half-mast. The moment marked in spontaneous silence by those gathered. Thousands have been making the pilgrimage to the palace into the night. The Queen's death marked by a London downfall of heavy rain, many bringing flowers to the site, laying them at palace gates. The sombre gathering has been punctuated by moments of spontaneous applause and rounds of cheers for England's longest-serving monarch. The Queen's body will be brought here to Buckingham Palace this week.
And the outpouring of grief is being reflected on the front pages of the British newspapers. The Telegraph features a black and white photo of the monarch and the stirring words she said after the September 11 attacks: "Grief is the price we pay for love." The Guardian's used a photo of the Queen holding the royal orb and sceptre. The Times is using the same photo captioned with "A life in service." And the Daily Mirror simply says, "Thank you." Heads of Commonwealth nations around the world are paying tribute. British Prime Minister Liz Truss says the Queen was the rock on which modern Britain was built. In an address to the nation, Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says Her Majesty was a wise and enduring presence.
This time of mourning will pass, but the deep respect and warm regard in which Australians have always held for Her Majesty will never fade. May she rest in eternal peace.
And New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern says she was extraordinary.
The Queen has been such a constant in our lives for 70 years, the longest-serving monarch in British history. Over her reign, she has come to define notions of service, charity and consistency.
Here in SA, a hatchment has been hung on the gates of Government House to mark the death of the Sovereign. Flags are also flying at half-mast and condolence books are available to sign. In other news, the AMA is reiterating its concerns as COVID isolation rules ease. Asymptomatic people now only need to spend 5 days in isolation instead of 7. But AMA President Professor Steve Robson says it may cause a rise in cases.
The AMA is concerned because, of course, a number of people who come out of isolation early will still be infectious and could spread COVID to workplaces or around the community in general. So it needs watching very closely.
The mask mandate's also been scrapped for domestic and incoming overseas flights. Former AFL great Wayne Carey wants to know why Crown in Perth failed to call police after he was caught with a bag of white powder at the casino. The 51-year-old says he wants a thorough police investigation, claiming he's done nothing wrong. He says Crown staff should have called police at the time.
They had two opportunities, 40 minutes apart. If what was alleged had occurred, an illegal substance had occurred, then the police would have been called. I want to know why.
And SA has a Powerball winner. A Snowtown mum's won the whole $40 million jackpot. Her winning 50-game quick pick was bought online. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a Gliderol roller door by September 30 and you could get free upgrades. Search Gliderol for details.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. The US Tennis Association has announced they will pay tribute to the Queen ahead of this morning's women's semi-final matches. Play in those matches gets underway shortly with Frenchwoman Caroline Garcia taking on Ons Jabeur, and that clash will be followed by Iga Swiatek, who takes on Arina Sabalenka. Play in the cricket test between England and South Africa has been cancelled, along with all race meetings in Britain. Some sport did still go ahead this morning, with Manchester United suffering a 1-0 loss against Real Sociedad in the Europa League. Arsenal, though, had a 2-1 win against Zurich, while West Ham also enjoyed a 3-1 win against Romanian side FCSB. Closer to home in Collingwood ruckman, Darcy Cameron is confident stars Jordan De Goey and Darcy Moore will be okay to play for tomorrow night's blockbuster semi-final against Fremantle.
And you saw what Geordie was able to influence the game after he hurt his shoulder, so I'm sure he'll be all right. He was managed throughout this week, and yeah, he's such an important player, as is Darcy, and same with him. I'm sure he's fine to go. They're such important players for our team, so it's good to have them out there.
Both have been named in the Magpies lineup. Just the one change for the Pies. Trent Bianco comes in for the injured Taylor Adams. The Dockers will go in unchanged. And pressure continues to mount on under fire Aussie skipper Aaron Finch after he was dismissed for a duck in the second ODI against New Zealand in Cairns. The Aussies still managed to win, though, by 113 runs. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
First National Real Estate. Their team of real estate experts will put you first.
In Jeps Cross, a smash clearing on Port Wakefield Road near Cavan Road. Direct, they're still cleaning up after an earlier smash on Heaslip Road near Huxtable Road. Linden Park, the lads are going in and out on Portrush Road at Greenhill Road, and Thorngate urgent electrical works on Main North Road near Dunton Terrace. Getting busy Paynham Road near Nelson Street as well. Hungry? Head to Oporto for the Bondi Burger Box. Double Bondi Burger, 2 crispy chicken strips, snack chips, drink and dipping sauce, just $16.95 at Oporto. That's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Peter Jackson Blinds and Awnings for stunning service and results. Adelaide Metro and Mount Barker. Search Peter Jackson Blinds.
Showers and 16 today, partly cloudy over the weekend, tops of 16 and a possible shower Monday, 15. At the moment, 13. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Do you still love your car? Why not take it to Edwardstown Mazda to see what it's really worth? It's the safest and easiest way to move your car on and get into a new or used Mazda. 862 South Road, Edwardstown.
If you want to be swimming this summer... Oh, no, that's
no,
not the
no,
one.
no, no, no. Let me start, Will.
Yeah, you fire away, David.
I will start. Nothing to do... Although, if you buy a house from a game, why not put a pool in with rainwater?
Some of them come with them, don't they?
How's that for a natural
Salvaged.
segue? That's right. Sold by McGain again.
Yes, because homes continue to sell quickly in Adelaide. It's important to get along to these open inspections.
Tomorrow from 12 till 12:30 p.m, Mike Dobbin and Zoe Ball are opening 4 Melrose Court, Happy Valley. This home's a cracker. It's an entertainer's delight with 3 bedrooms plus a study, large open planned living area with a renovated kitchen, rumpus with a wet bar and a huge enclosed entertaining area with its own split system for year-round entertaining, 675 to 695K.
And on Sunday from 11 to 11:30am, Mike and Zoe are opening 12 Wiley Court, Woodcroft. This absolutely stunning Hampton-style family home features a huge renovated kitchen, 4 bedrooms, 2 separate living areas, renovated main bathroom and undercover entertaining, plus there's corner access to a shed and caravan or boat parking, 695 to 745K.
You might even be able to put a pool in too.
You might.
Take a look at these properties and all the McGain listings at mcgain.com.au.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
It has been a difficult year for this country in many ways, despite the successes. The world witnessed the anguish of Australians as they lived through a summer of national disasters.
Already in my journeys through the Commonwealth, I have been made even more vividly conscious of the true brotherhood of my peoples, even prouder of their services to civilization and more richly confident of their future destiny.
We were all impressed by the courage and resolution shown by those affected in the face of crippling desolation.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
21 minutes to 9. It's been an extraordinary morning. We've spoken with the Governor of South Australia. We caught up with the Prime Minister. We're going to play you some of that because it happened very early. In on air since 6 o'clock, talking about the death of Queen Elizabeth II. But I think the highlight, David, and I don't think this is out of step suggesting this, has been the calls of Adelaide people and South Australians who have had personal connections, brushes with the Queen, or indeed people who mark great moments in their lives by virtue of where the Queen was at and what she was doing over the course of her 70-year reign. So we're happy to take your calls. Adelaide people can call in on 8223 0000 or text us on the Automasters text line. We'll get to some more of your recollections, or indeed just a say of thanks, or maybe you just want to express your condolences on the Queen's passing.
Just one quick text that I do want to read out, because this is an oversight that should be rectified as a matter of some urgency. Greg says that the flag on the GPO is not at half-mast. I would have thought that anybody who is in charge of a flag today, the very first thing they should do upon arriving is put their hands on the ropes and pull it down.
So what we wanted to do is give you the opportunity, if you're just tuning in, to hear a little bit of our chat earlier on today with both the Prime Minister and the Governor of South Australia, Francis Adamson. The Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, joins us on 5AA Breakfast. Prime Minister, good morning to you.
Good morning. What is a very sad day, but you're right as well to say that it's an opportunity to reflect and to celebrate what is an extraordinary life.
It certainly was an extraordinary life, Prime Minister. And, a huge sense of sorrow today, but equally, I mean, it's hard to capture the magnitude of her rule, isn't it? To think about seven decades, how much has happened, how much the world has changed since then, but also the stability that Her Majesty brought to the Commonwealth.
That's right. She was a constant in our lives. She is the only monarch and head of state that you and Will and I have known. And that is remarkable, given that we're living in an era with the fastest change in human history, and that constant devotion that the Queen exhibited to her duty to serve the Commonwealth and her nation, her duty to family as well, and her faith was quite remarkable. It was a constant in an era of change.
Few people get to be known as leaders, and fewer still are great leaders. What, from now in your perspective as the leader of Australia, do you see as what made her such a wonderful leader of the Commonwealth?
I think the fact that she could meet with world leaders, and of course she was an advisor to every British Prime Minister since Winston Churchill. She served 16 Prime Ministers in Australia, 16 Governors-General have been in place during her reign, but she was also really comfortable with mixing with the general public. She was there when we needed her to be there at times of crisis, but also there at times of celebration. She was, of course, a regular visitor to Australia. She first came in 1954, and I think it was about 8 months after she became the Queen. And it's quite extraordinary, the figures, which show that in a population of 10 million at that time, 7 million Australians went out, didn't look at it on Facebook or social media. They physically went to see her, and that great saying, of course, we just saw her passing by. It just says something about the affection that she had from Australians at a time when she was, of course, the first monarch and the only monarch to have visited Australia.
The Governor, Francis Adamson. Your Excellency, good morning.
The flags, of course, at Government House are already flying at half-mast. We have at the ready condolence books, and Government House will be open for the next 14 days for any South Australians who wish to sign those condolence books in person. Will be open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. And of course, the Department of Premier and Cabinet has made arrangements for condolence books to be signed electronically should people wish to do that. The Premier and I will shortly, in about 45 minutes, observe what is a uniquely South Australian tradition on the death of the sovereign, and that is the hanging of what is called a hatchment on the gates of Government House. This has been done since the death of Queen Victoria, and it's a tradition that we continue to this day.
That's the Governor speaking with us here on 5AA Breakfast a short time ago, and identifying the fact that the flags at Government House would be at half-mast. We just some text querying what was going on at the GPO here in the city. Richard is in Vic Square. Richard, what can you see, mate?
Yeah, the flag is at half-mast.
Oh, that's
Okay,
good.
that's good.
Excellent. We did get that text about 15 minutes ago, so it looks like whoever's rostered on to start the day there has done the right thing, so well done to the GPA.
Have you seen anything else out, Richard, in your travels this morning? Flowers, wreaths, or other tributes?
Burnside Chancel as well, flags at half-mast there this morning.
Excellent. Well, that's good to hear, Richard. Thank you for that, mate. Really appreciate it. Mary's in North Brighton. Good morning to you, Mary.
Good morning. I just wanted to say that I was 11 years old when the Queen and Prince Philip came out, and I've got two memories that stuck in my mind. One was that I represented our little school from Largs Bay with another girl, and we had a church service in St Peter's Cathedral, which the Queen attended, and Shirley and I and the principal were upstairs in a very squashed little place over the top of the entrance arches, and we could see the Queen. I always thought she scratched her leg, but I think actually she was probably picking up her handbag. That's about all I could see of her. But then later on, because I was a new girl guide, you mentioned about the children all being seen by the Queen at Wayville, but after she'd been to Wayville, she then came through to Light Square, and there were just as many children in Light Square, and being a girl guide, we were lining the route outside the other children, like in front of the other children, and that was the longest time I'd ever had to stand virtually at attention, go rocking backwards and forwards on my toes and heels, and if I wanted to, I could sit on a little square of plastic which was marking my spot. We were about, I suppose, 2 metres apart, and I just remember that. I had a good view.
Oh, that's great, Mary. They're wonderful memories.
That's lovely. Thank you, Mary.
Hey, Jackie in Prospect has texted in on the Automasters text line with a really interesting point. She says, a surreal morning waking to this sad news. But then she says, on a side note, does that mean that our notes and coins will change? Well, we, because of the timing, we haven't been able to speak directly so early in the day with anybody from the Royal Mint in Canberra. But my understanding is that clearly they're not going to take the existing coins out of circulation, all of which have the Queen's head on the back of them. But as a matter of protocol, you would think absolutely mean that all future coins now minted will have King Charles III's head on the back of them.
Have you noted the sort of coded language we've heard from the Governor, the Premier and the Prime Minister today, all talking about the sorts of things that have been in train and they're all prepared for in the event that the Queen was going to die? There's a whole host of protocols to go through. It feels like the currency changing is one of those things that's been planned for, and there will be some announcement about when it's sort of
I just went through my wallet and for a rare turn of events actually have some cash in it. But the $5 note that I'm holding here, the Queen's head is on that. Will she remain on the $5 note?
We'll wait some information.
I'd
but
kind of like her to remain on the $5 note
I think
as
so.
a tribute to her, because there's other people on our notes that are no longer with us who are commemorated, Charles Kingsford Smith and so forth. Let's leave her on the $5.
Dave in Clarence Gardens is on the line. Dave, good morning.
G'day, fellas. Can one of you come and hold the ladder for me out the front of the entertainment centre so we can drop that flag as well to half-mast?
Yeah. Well spotted, Dave.
Good point, Dave.
That's another one someone needs to hop to immediately and
Get
rectify.
those flags down.
Exactly right. Dave, thank you for that. Really appreciate your call on that front. It's time to check traffic until your new BMW arrives. Adelaide BMW help keep your current vehicle fueled. T's and C's apply.
In Paraka, there's a smash on Montague Road near Main North Road. Direct, they're still cleaning up after an earlier smash on Heathslip Road near Huxtable Road. Linden Park, the lads are going in and out on Portrush Road at Greenhill Road, and speeds are down on the freeway above the tunnels to Kerry Gully for heavy rain, so take care there. Want the best sleep at the best price? Enjoy a huge discount store-wide at the 40 Winks Blackout Sale. In Sunday, exclusions and T's and C's apply. 40 Winks, serious about sleep. That's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Since 19...
Well, David, we've been cruising around in the electric car thanks to the RAA and learning about this brand new technology.
It's been a lot of fun, and now we're going to catch up with Mark Borlace from the RAA to hear about all of the benefits and savings from driving an electric vehicle.
So often we've had you on the program to say, what in the hell are going on with petrol prices, because everyone's getting ripped off. Yeah. It's nice to have this car behind us and know if you own it, that's not something you're ever going to have to worry about ever again.
Yeah, you can kind of vaccinate yourself from petrol bills and charge at home. 90% of people will plug these things home and charge overnight, but these are sort of the affordable end of the market. And as you say, it's got a 450k range. It's starting to feel and look and do what a normal car does, and that's when people start to love them.
Best in class fuel economy. Work towards a better future together with Jarvis Toyota. South Road, Clovelly Park, Adelaide's home of hybrid.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA, David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
10 to 9, we have suspended the AFL Grand Final competition for today out of respect to...
Not the right day.
That's right. It's not the day to be playing guessing football as we thought. So we'll move it to Monday. It'll all be the same. We'll have a new clue for you then, another chance to win. But we thought today, if you're wondering where that was, we wanted to hand the whole program over to discussion about the celebration of the life of Her Majesty the Queen.
We should stress too that Leon is going to be on air from 9 o'clock, and his lines will be open so that South Australian people can ring in all morning, all day. In fact, we'll be taking calls through to Jade's show this afternoon. Keep your local calls coming, because for people in South Australia who have a real emotional connection to this story, we here at 5AA want to give you the chance to share all your tales and memories.
Valerie in Grange is on the line. Valerie, good morning to you.
Good morning. Very quickly, my husband was a policeman at the time in 54, and he was in the Adelaide Showgrounds. On the stage, they had policemen in each corner, so he was one of those. He was very close to the Queen, and he said she was absolutely beautiful. He doesn't give out hints. And then he also was on Kangaroo Island. They flew about 120 policemen to Kangaroo Island, and they were all lining the road in Kingscote. So he was there again twice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Terrific, Valerie.
And he's very wild for me for ringing up, so...
Well, we're glad you did,
Yes.
Valerie. We'd like hearing
Yeah.
stories like yours.
No, he said she was absolutely beautiful skin and beautifully dressed, and yes. Okay, all right, have a good day.
Thank you,
too,
Valerie. Really appreciate it.
Big thank you to everybody who has called in. The calls have been great. The texts have been great. And I think there's a real sense that there needs to be some sort of, permanent local remembrance. It was great to hear the Premier after 8 o'clock when we caught up with him talking about how more details will be announced. I might wander down later and I want to see
the hatchment.
See the hatchment hanging there on the side.
I didn't realise it was an entirely South Australian tradition that we have. Mind you, it says something about the Queen's reign that not many of us will know it, because it hasn't happened for at least 70 years.
That's right. It started with Queen Victoria, so it goes back a very long time. But a nice, unique South Australian thing to do with the Sturt Desert Pea and the piping shrike and so forth. And yeah, look, thanks to everybody, because it has made the show much richer for your contributions, because, you know, as we said before, 300,000 people at a time when the state had a population of 480,000 back in 1954. The first of 11 visits to South Australia by Her Majesty. Yeah, we end the show with our condolences and continue this tribute.
And if you'd like to call into the station and share your story or a tribute, you're more than welcome to do so right throughout the day. Leon Biner's next.
G'day, it's Baz from FIVEAA Milk Company. Just wanted to let you know that we're doing all we can to get behind our local dairy farmers. They've been doing it tough for a long time. Remember, when you buy FIVEAA Milk Company products, you're making a difference. So keep up the good work, SA. Look for FIVEAA Milk Company products in your supermarket. 3 words make all the difference. FIVEAA Milk Company. South Australian first.